Welcome to the cultivation universe where everything abnormal is normal. And today's main character, Bai Xiaochun, is living proof. A young man who fears death more than the sky falling. A genius whose main talent is causing trouble. And also the only person who can make the entire sect want to beat him, protect him, and avoid him as much as possible. A will eternal, a cultivation story full of laughter. But beneath it is the emotional journey of a seemingly useless person who carries within him a will that can shake heaven and earth. If you want a story that's addictive from the first listen, humorous, touching, and extremely captivating, then this is the perfect choice. Now let's embark on a journey where just one thought is enough to shake eternity. That night, when Songkyu opened his eyes, he found himself in an empty hotel room. He looked around, only then daring to confirm that what had happened during the day wasn't an illusion. Because it was real, he couldn't even cry, his heart filled with indescribable grief and indignation. Why is it like this? I've worked so hard for a year, lived frugally, and faced death countless times. What right does Bai Xiaochun have? What right does he have? What right does he have? Songkyu truly wanted to cry. He felt wronged, felt it was so unfair. He recalled his entire life, which could basically be divided into two stages. The first stage was a promising career, a genius of the bloodstream sect, with limitless potential. But the end of this stage was meeting Bai Xiaochun. From then on, he entered the second stage, the stage of humiliation and indignation. I'm still inferior to him in the Abyssal Sword sect, inferior to him in the Bloodstream sect, even more inferior to him in the Reverse River sect. And now I've come to the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. Everything starts from scratch. I can't even survive as well as him. Songkyu was filled with indignation. He rushed out of the room, soaring into the air, intending to leave and never look back. Suddenly, a beam of light from the Rainbow Void realm shot down, enveloping Songkyu. Confused, Songkyu instinctively checked his contribution points, his eyes widening in disbelief. His contribution points had exceeded 2 million, reaching the threshold for the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect's formation to forcibly pull him up the rainbow. This was the rule of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. All the cultivators in the Void City saw this, all looking at him with admiration and longing. Songquest's eyes, however, were filled with complex emotions. He lowered his head, looking at the hotel, lost in thought. He had succeeded, becoming the first yellow-robed disciple in the group, the first to ascend to the Rainbow Void, but deep down he knew he had completely lost. Bai Xiaochun emerged from a room, looked up at Songkyu in the sky, coughed, and waved goodbye. Cultivate well up there, don't bring shame to me and your aunt. If you encounter difficulties, or if anyone bullies you, come back here and tell your uncle. This is your home. Remember to keep in touch with your family often. Songkyu glared at Bai Xiaochun upon hearing this, then sighed, letting the guiding light revolve around him, pulling him up to the Rainbow Void, and slowly disappearing. After seeing Songkyu off, Bai Xiaochun happily returned to his room. He felt he had done a good deed, and when he met Zhang Zhenwen later, he could tell her how well he had taken care of her nephew. Having an uncle like me, it's truly a blessing for queer. Bai Xiaochun sighed, feeling increasingly grateful for his generosity and kindness, displaying the demeanor of an elder. He continued cultivating the cold gate cultivation technique with pride. Since entering the central cold realm, Bai Xiaochun's cultivation speed had increased slightly, and each cultivation session consumed more energy, causing him to eat a considerable amount each day, making others envious. His immortal muscles had also progressed well. Bai Xiaochun began cultivating his head. In his opinion, fists were the easiest thing to guard against, and his left leg speed was already formidable. Only his head was something that no enemy would be wary of. Thinking of the times he fought, a single headbutt could make someone bleed. Bai Xiaochun became excited and began cultivating the meridians of his head. The hotel's business gradually stabilized, the disturbances subsided considerably, and the profits of the Azure Dragon Society also steadily increased, gradually accumulating and becoming a unique organization in the entire Sky City. This organization was renowned, vibrant, and on par with the Sky Society. The leaders of the Sky Society were driven mad. They tried everything, but to no avail. unable to defeat Bai Xiaochun in a fight, and also at a disadvantage due to their sex rules. They had no choice but to report to their backer, the celestial human family. For the past year, the Sky Society's income had plummeted, and recently it had decreased even more significantly, attracting the attention of the celestial human family's external affairs elder. After hearing the report, he scoffed, "Just a mere orange-robed disciple. How audacious! I don't mind bullying others, but he dares to steal from my family." This elder, a nascent soul cultivator, held considerable influence and authority within the clan. After a moment of thought, he took out a jade slip and began searching for information about Bai Xiaochun. Bring the formula for the illusionary wisdom pill to exchange with the Void Domain's sect leader. Hemph, even if Bai Xiaochun and the Void Domain's sect leader have some connection, I must teach him a lesson. The elder waved his hand, about to issue a command targeting Bai Xiaochun, when a whistling sound filled the room. A purple jade slip, moving at incredible speed, flew through the formation outside his room and appeared before him. The nascent soul elder's expression changed. Upon seeing the character heaven on the jade slip, he was startled, trembling as he respectfully accepted it. He scanned it with his divine consciousness, his eyes widening in disbelief. Bai Xiaochun, what is his background? The old man took a deep breath, respectfully bowing to the jade slip. The slip emitted a purple light and vanished into thin air. The old nascent soul cultivator's eyes were filled with terror. He immediately abandoned the idea of transmitting the Dharma decree, and instead became angry that the Sky Society had provoked Bai Xiaochun. He snorted and ordered the leading cultivator of the Sky Society to be summoned to the Rainbow Bridge. The leader of the Sky Society was a middle-aged man. Upon hearing that the nascent soul elder of the family had summoned him, he rushed over at top speed, expecting the elder to issue a decree to discipline Bai Xiaochun. Unexpectedly, upon seeing the elder, he was scolded. "You can't even handle such a small matter, and you're bothering me." The scolding was so loud it carried far, frightening the Sky Society leader, leaving him trembling with fear. He was finally chased out, tears welling up in his eyes. He couldn't understand why, despite being a powerful force, he couldn't do anything to Bai Xiaochun. How can this be a small matter? The leader of the Azure Dragon Society has his own territory and is a core formation cultivator. How could we disciples possibly handle him? The Sky Society leader sighed repeatedly, pacing back and forth in the courtyard of the celestial human family, thinking that if the celestial human family didn't even bother to pay attention, why should he provoke them? Well, let them do whatever they want, the leader of the Sky Society sighed, about to teleport back to the Sky City, when he saw a group of people surrounding a young man in a magnificent yellow robe, laughing and talking as they passed by. This young man was clearly of high status. His arrogant demeanor as he spoke to the person beside him made the Sky Society leader recognize him. He was a member of the family, one of the family's prodigies, named Li Yuansheng. Li Yuansheng had cultivated for less than 100 years, yet he was already a core formation cultivator. A few years ago, he was still a foundation establishment cultivator, passing through the Sky City to collect some contribution points, and that's how he met him. Li Yuansheng passed by, saw the Sky Society leader, and remembered the time the other party had respectfully offered him contribution points, so he casually asked, "Why are you here?" The Sky Society leader immediately recounted everything, not forgetting to embellish the story. "Brotherly, someone dares to steal your family's property." Interesting, the leader of the Azure Dragon Society is a core formation cultivator, yet he dares to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. The people surrounding Li Yuansheng all laughed. "We respectfully request the young master to preside over this matter for us." The leader of the Sky Society immediately bowed and clasped his hands. Li Yuansheng heard the surrounding chatter and snorted. "I'm free today. I'll go with you to see what kind of abilities that person has to be so audacious." Leader of the Sky Society, in a cheerful mood, hastily led the way. Li Yuansheng and the other cultivators were all members of the wealthy families on Rainbow Peak. Their cultivation levels were all built upon their family's wealth, reaching the golden core stage, but they were all extremely mediocre, at the very bottom of the hierarchy. Normally bored, they were now clamoring to go see the commotion and followed Li Yuansheng to the teleportation point to Sky City. Upon arriving in Sky City, the leader of the Sky Society was excited. He knew that these wealthy people's enthusiasm was fleeting, so he immediately led them to the West City. That leader of the Azure Dragon Society is extremely vicious. He refined the super-grade Tranquility Valley pill and murdered his fellow disciples. He even refined the Illusionary Wisdom pill, a forbidden item from the sect, causing disaster in the region. Today in Sky City, countless people hate him to the bone. Young master, this time you're not only acting for our family, but also to eliminate a threat to our Starry Sky Dao extreme sect. Along the way, the leader of the Heavenly Sky Society kept persuading him. The cultivators accompanying Li Yuansheng all smiled. They weren't here solely for good intentions, but they were pleased to hear the praise. He has his own territory, and his background is not insignificant, but even if his background is even greater, offending my heavenly human family is useless, Li Yuansheng said indifferently. Although he was somewhat pampered, he was still a prodigy of the heavenly human family. He was arrogant, but not to the point of losing his bearings at the slightest praise. After I handle this for you, you know what to do next, right? Li Yuansheng looked meaningfully at the leader of the Heavenly Sky Society. The leader immediately understood, knowing that the other party was hinting at a contribution point, and quickly nodded. Li Yuansheng smiled. He didn't think dealing with the Azure Dragon Society would be difficult, so he chatted and laughed with everyone as they flew westward. Along the way, many cultivators from the Sky City were startled to see them. Besides the leader of the Sky Society, all 10 of them were disciples in yellow robes. The gleaming yellow robes made it clear they came from the Rainbow Bridge. Following their direction, everyone realized they were heading west, so they cautiously followed. Gradually, hundreds of people followed Li Yuansheng's group. Li Yuansheng didn't bother to pay attention. As a prodigy of the Heavenly Human Clan, he was accustomed to the same scene wherever he went. The group reached the desert border, where they saw distant ruins and a 10-mile-wide hotel. There were so many people here, constantly coming and going. Although it was already sunset, it was still extremely lively. Everyone who saw Li Yuansheng and his group was stunned. Yellow-robed disciples. So many yellow-robed disciples. The person with them looks familiar. It seems like the leader of the Sky Society. Could it be that they are from the Heavenly Human family? The Sky Society has arrived, and they want to target the Azure Dragon Society. Li Yuansheng and his group flew to the inn. More than 10 core formation cultivators unleashed their cultivation, causing a strong wind to rise, the earth and sky to tremble, and the powerful pressure made the cultivators below shiver. Shan Swansea quickly came out. Thanks to his many contribution points, he had also reached the great perfection of foundation establishment, ascending to the false core realm. Zhang Dapan also came out. Among Bai Xiaochun's protectors, Zhang Dapan was the fastest progressing. Whether it was due to his affinity with the primordial spiritual energy or his familiarity with spiritual cultivation, his cultivation advanced rapidly, reaching the great perfection of the foundation establishment stage. Su Beokai and Chen Manya also emerged, their expressions changing upon seeing the more than 10 yellow-robed cultivators in the sky. The leader of the Azure Dragon Society, come out here. The leader of the Sky Society roared excitedly. He had kept these words to himself for a long time, and now that he could finally utter them, it was truly satisfying. The Azure Dragon Society is finished. The Sky Society is powerful, backed by the Celestial Human Family. With just one word from the Celestial Human Family, countless cultivators will follow like mad. I've seen that person before. He's Li Yuansheng. My god, he's ranked over 900 on the Starry Sky Dao Extreme. A continuous stream of excited chatter filled the air. The Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking anyone who makes it into the top 1,000 is a prodigy, a true genius, because the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect is so vast and has so many disciples. Bai Xiaochun slightly opened the window and saw 10 cultivators in the sky. Seeing that they were within his private territory, he felt reassured and swaggered out. Who's making all this noise? Bai Xiaochun stood on the balcony, frowning, and arrogantly spoke. Get out! Bai Xiaochun flicked his sleeve, and the 7-colored flag shone brightly. Immediately, wind and clouds swirled, and the formation shifted. Just as he was about to drive them all out, Li Yuansheng smirked. A jade slip appeared in his hand, and he pressed it down. Formation disperse. With just 2 simple words, the power of the formation instantly vanished. Bai Xiaochun was astonished. Li Yuansheng flashed, a white fire blazing around him like a shooting star, soaring towards Bai Xiaochun. His cultivation level, at the mid-stage of the core formation realm, radiated outwards, and in an instant, he appeared before Bai Xiaochun. "Don't make me say it a second time. Get out of here," Li Yuansheng said indifferently. His eyes were cold and contemptuous. Bai Xiaochun narrowed his eyes. The other party's cultivation level was only comparable to his, yet they were now attacking with full force. Clearly, they not only wanted to beat him, but also intended to destroy his hotel. Bai Xiaochun was furious. This was his home, and the other party was aggressively barging in like robbers, threatening to destroy his family's property. Naturally, Bai Xiaochun was enraged. "You're the one who should get out," Bai Xiaochun chanted a spell, unleashing the cold gate cultivation intent. A terrifying wave of cold air emanated, freezing everything around him. Boom! Li Yuansheng's heavenly fire attack collided with Bai Xiaochun's cold air. The heavenly fire exploded, scattering outwards, but it wasn't enough to damage the hotel. Instead, it was frozen into ice fire flowers. Li Yuansheng's expression changed drastically, his whole body turning cold. This icy energy was extremely strange. Once it entered his body, it couldn't be dispelled, instead turning into ice spheres that caused Li Yuansheng's mouth to bleed. Even the blood that spilled out was instantly frozen. "Step back!" Before Li Yuansheng could finish speaking, Bai Zikun suddenly raised his head, the icy energy surging even more intensely, and flew towards Li Yuansheng. His speed was incredibly fast. With just one move, the icy blast swept across. Li Yuansheng and his companions all changed color, and they all attacked simultaneously. The void collapsed, and a black hole appeared, intending to swallow Bai Zikun. But Bai Zikun suddenly disappeared, then suddenly reappeared behind the Foundation establishment cultivators, his face grim, radiating intense killing intent. "Teleportation! Impossible!" A Foundation establishment cultivator cried out in alarm. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. This is absolutely not teleportation. A core formation cultivator, how can he teleport? This person either possesses a supreme treasure war, a special cultivation technique. Everyone was in an uproar. It's no wonder they were like that. Teleportation. Only nascent soul cultivators possess this technique, which is achieved through the initial fusion of essence, spirit, and even the heavens and earth. This method is basically impossible for those below the nascent soul stage. And if someone could achieve it, it would mean they were extremely difficult to deal with. Trying to surround and kill such a person would be utterly futile, because they could come and go as they pleased, seizing all the initiative with just a thought. Li Yuansheng and his group were terrified, their pupils contracting. Bai Xiaochun dodged the combined attack of the group of core formation cultivators, and the ice layer outside the hotel quickly melted. With the ice layer protecting it, the hotel was completely unaffected. With a flick of his hand, he froze 1,000 feet of ice, and with a single thought, he dispelled the divine power. The cultivators of the Azure Dragon Society were overjoyed, while the onlookers were speechless with shock. Li Yuansheng and his group looked at Bai Xiaochun with changing expressions, their faces solemn. Although they wore silk robes, they were disciples of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect and possessed knowledge. They recognized that Bai Xiaochun was no ordinary person, especially his killing intent, which made Li Yuansheng realize that this cultivator had rich combat experience and had faced life and death many times. He was secretly angry, glaring at the leader of the Heavenly Sky Society, regretting his presence. With over 10 people on his side, he couldn't do anything to the opponent. This would make Li Yuansheng a laughingstock in the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. The leader of the Sky Society trembled. He knew the leader of the Azure Dragon Society was a core formation cultivator, but he didn't expect that the opponent was not just an ordinary core formation cultivator. He could fight 10 people of the same level without falling into a disadvantageous position, and even possessed an unparalleled teleportation technique. The leader of the Sky Society trembled. Li Yuansheng's eyes blazed with cold light. With a flash, his body transformed into a fiery figure in midair, flying straight towards Bai Zikun. Behind him, 10 core formation cultivators also unleashed their divine abilities, the sky ablaze with multicolored light as they joined forces to attack Bai Zikun. "You're going too far," Bai Zikun roared in anger, taking a step forward. A blast of cold energy erupted, a storm raging around him, clashing head-on with the combined attack of the 10 cultivators. Bai Xiaochun disappeared, then reappeared behind the Foundation Establishment cultivators, unleashing a punch. The Foundation Establishment cultivator's expression changed. His robe fluttered without wind as he stubbornly resisted Bai Xiaochun's punch. He trembled violently, recoiling and spitting out blood, which was instantly frozen by the icy air. His robes helped to block quite a bit of the attack. Bai Xiaochun frowned. His physical strength is extraordinary. The Foundation Establishment cultivator hastily warned the others, but before he could speak, a pair of wings appeared behind Bai Xiaochun. With a powerful flap, his speed instantly increased dramatically. He moved incredibly fast, appearing before the cultivator in a flash, his arms sweeping up like lightning, grabbing the cultivator and throwing him forcefully to the ground. The first monk was thrown to the ground, a heart-wrenching scream echoing through the air. He suffered numerous broken bones, groaning in the deep pit, his gaze fixed on Bai Xiaochun with terror. Bai Xiaochun continued his teleportation, appearing before the second monk. This time, instead of using his fists, he swung his left leg and delivered a powerful kick. The second monk exerted all his strength to resist, but Bai Xiaochun's left leg, imbued with the power of the immortal bone, struck him squarely in the waist. A sound like a bursting sack echoed, and before he could utter a word, his body exploded, blood gushing out. He was sent flying hundreds of meters away by Bai Xiaochun's kick, his waist nearly pierced through. And that wasn't all. Golden threads wrapped around him, forming a kind of restriction that sealed all his cultivation, rendering him seemingly a mere mortal. This scene terrified the onlookers. The Azure Dragon leader, too vicious. His moves even contained Forbidden's power. Everyone was shocked, but the slaughter was far from over. Bai Xiaochun suddenly turned, his immortal longevity technique erupting, creating a protective force that firmly resisted the attacks of the two Foundation Establishment cultivators from behind. His expression was ferocious, and he swung his left leg forcefully, sending the two sneak attackers flying. Golden threads shimmered, and cracking sounds echoed. Both men suffered broken bones. One appeared to have lung damage, coughing up blood, his body trembling with cold, and his cultivation sealed. A large purple cauldron appeared, striking everyone. Bai Xiaochun dodged the attack with the teleportation technique, reappearing behind one of the cultivators. Just as he was about to strike, the other cultivators noticed and rushed forward. Bai Xiaochun snorted, unleashing the mountain-shattering charge. His entire body was like a raging dragon, crashing violently into the cultivator, leaving him covered in blood, unable to utter a sound. He was sent flying, his chest caved in. Bai Xiaochun then performed a hand seal, turned to face the three cultivators, and pressed down from a distance. Fong! With just a thought, the icy aura instantly spread, freezing the void before him, causing all three Foundation Establishment cultivators to freeze. Bai Xiaochun rushed forward, raised his left leg, and with three thuds, the three men spat blood and flew backward. From beginning to end, in just a few breaths, the other cultivators were utterly defeated, leaving only Li Yuansheng and two others. These two men's faces changed color, they trembled as they looked at each other, and simultaneously retreated, no longer participating in Li Yuansheng's actions. Those around were terrified. No one dared to speak, intimidated by Bai Xiaochun's ferocity. Li Yuansheng trembled, over 10 people. In just a few breaths, some unconscious, some fleeing, some severely injured, leaving only him standing alone in midair. Bai Xiaochun knew teleportation and possessed astonishing combat power. He was basically no match for him. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he instinctively retreated. "You come down here too." Bai Xiaochun rushed forward, intending to capture Li Yuansheng. His speed was incredibly fast, and combined with the ice-cold shadow technique, as Li Yuansheng retreated, Bai Xiaochun instantly appeared before him. He raised his right hand, and behind him, the immortal longevity technique's diamond body also appeared, raising its right hand to grab Li Yuansheng. A powerful suction force emanated from Bai Xiaochun's hand, and the surrounding icy aura swirled, pressing down on Li Yuansheng from all sides like a 10-sided ambush, causing Li Yuansheng's expression to change. "You dare to harm me? I, Li Yuansheng, come from the celestial human family. No matter your background, within 3 days, I will make you leave the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect." Li Yuansheng roared. Li Yuansheng's voice echoed in all directions, his threat particularly clear. In his eyes, any cultivator in the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect feared being expelled. The Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect was the leading sect. If expelled, no sect in the middle or lower reaches would dare accept them, leaving them as rogue cultivators. And rogue cultivators in the vast world held an extremely low status. They were forbidden from approaching the Tangshan River, only able to sneak in to cultivate, and if discovered, they would be driven away. Becoming a nascent soul cultivator was somewhat better, but rogue cultivators below the nascent soul stage suffered greatly. That's why Li Yuansheng dared to speak like that. He knew that with the rules of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect, he and the Azure Dragon leader were fellow disciples. Even if he wanted to kill him, he couldn't. It was easier to use his family status to expel the other man from the sect. Once he left the sect, life or death depended solely on his will. He didn't know Bai Xiaochun's background, but he didn't care. Even if he had his own land, so what? Without the Rainbow Abyss, any of the 10 sect masters had the right to own their own property in the Void City. This might seem impressive to outsiders, but to him, it was a minor matter, given his background. Bai Xiaochun was startled by this and forcibly retracted his attack. "What did you say?" Bai Xiaochun asked Li Yuansheng, his voice anxious. Bai Xiaochun's demeanor changed quickly. Just moments ago he had been so aggressive, yet a single threatening sentence from Li Yuansheng had completely transformed him. Li Yuansheng was also stunned. He had been too panicked to maintain his composure, but seeing that his words had worked, his eyes became even more fierce. "HMPH, now you're scared, it's too late. No matter your background, within 3 days at most, I, Li, will make you lose your status in the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect and get out of here." Li Yuansheng clasped his hands behind his back, his voice resounding with smugness. He imagined that this Azure Dragon leader would be terrified and bitterly bow his head in apology. "This is the difference in status, HMPH. Let's see if you know how to adapt." Li Yuansheng smirked gleefully. But Bai Zikun became excited, extremely excited, and overjoyed. "Really, haha, that's great, that's great. Brother Li, right? I've offended you a lot just now." "Ah, I didn't mean to. If you had said earlier that you could help me get out of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect within 3 days, if you had said earlier, I definitely wouldn't have attacked," Bai Zikun exclaimed excitedly. "Brother Li, are you sure? You absolutely must be sure that you can get me out of here within 3 days." The group of silk-clad figures gaped in astonishment. Li Yuansheng was bewildered, and everyone around them looked at each other in confusion, unable to understand why Bai Zikun was so excited. "You?" Li Yuansheng was completely baffled, as if he and the other man were in 2 completely different worlds. "Did you hear what I just said? I said that within 3 days, I will make you leave the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. Get out. You'll have your disciple status revoked. You'll be expelled. You'll be expelled." Bai Zikun nodded vigorously, becoming even more excited and cheerful. "It's good that you're sure, Brother Li. You're truly my benefactor." After saying this, Bai Zikun turned and shouted to Su Baocai and the others below. "Su Baocai, senior brother, HMPH, why don't you thank Daoist Li? He has a way to help us leave the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. I don't have to be a hostage here anymore. We can go home." In the inn, the 3 divine calculators hurriedly coughed, sympathetically looking at Li Yuansheng. Li Yuansheng's expression changed when he heard Bai Zikun say the word hostage. His eyes widened as if he'd seen a ghost, and he pointed at Bai Zikun, shouting in disbelief. "You're a hostage?" "Yes, I'm a hostage." Bai Zikun flicked his sleeve and replied loudly. Most hostages, when revealing their identity, usually act in a pitiful, cowardly manner. But Bai Zikun, with such arrogance, uttered those 2 words, his voice echoing in all directions. Normally, every time he thought about his own identity, he would feel distressed. But now, seeing Li Yuansheng's terrified expression, Bai Zikun suddenly felt that being a hostage was quite good. The people around him were also in an uproar and exclaimed in shock. The leader of the Sky Society was even more stunned, his eyes wide and his mouth agape. Finally, he understood why he couldn't find any trace of the Azure Dragon leader's background despite all his investigations. Damn it, he's a hostage, and yet he's so arrogant. This kind of hostage. Aren't hostages usually bitter and resentful? The leader of the Sky Society was on the verge of tears. You. Li Yuansheng's head was spinning, unable to form a coherent sentence. No matter how formidable he was, capable of expelling an ordinary disciple regardless of their background, but if it was a hostage, a matter involving to sex, let alone him, even a nascent soul cultivator couldn't do it. Only a celestial being could have the authority to do such a thing. His arrogant words were met with such retaliation from his opponent, like a slap in the face. Li Yuansheng was consumed with rage, spitting out a mouthful of blood, his eyes blazing red. He wanted to go mad, shouting loudly, and without looking back, he turned and flew straight up the rainbow, not wanting to stay another second. Oh, why are you leaving? Brother Li, don't go. You promised me you'd help me leave here within 3 days. Bai Zikan jumped up and waved his hand. His words reached Li Yuansheng's ears, causing Li Yuansheng to spit blood again and roar. You're too arrogant. He increased his speed as he shouted. Not only him, but the entire group of silk-clad figures trembled, looking at Bai Zikan with eye and fear. Bai Zikan's move was too formidable. No one could match it. They all bowed their heads, helped their unconscious comrades up, and fled. Bai Zikan watched them go, waved his hand triumphantly, then feigned disappointment and sighed. I hate those incompetent people the most. They always act like they're so great, but if they can't do it, they shouldn't talk about it. They're making fun of me, aren't they? Bai Xiaochun sighed, shaking his head. He returned to the inn, triumphantly heading back to his secret chamber to continue his cultivation. The news of Bai Xiaochun being a hostage quickly spread throughout the Sky City, striking fear into everyone who heard it. The hostages from the Star River Academy, Extreme River Academy, and Doe River Academy in the other 3 cities were dumbfounded. As a hostage, he can still be so arrogant. Bai Xiaochun, I must go meet him. They all looked at themselves, then made up their minds to meet Bai Xiaochun and exchange experiences as hostages. Perhaps their lives as hostages would be a little easier. The Sky Society didn't dare think of any more tricks. The leader of the Sky Society gritted his teeth. We can't provoke him, but we can get rid of him. Stipulates that disciples must either accumulate hundreds of thousands of contribution points and choose to make a sacrifice to advance, or their own contribution points must reach a certain level, at which point the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sex Formation will sense and forcibly advance them. This coercive method is to prevent excessive contribution points from disrupting the established order within the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect. This aligns with the sect's interests and doesn't require any effort from the individual. The formation will handle it, as each person's identity token contains a formation eye. However, the second method is rarely used, as only a small number of people reach that point. Song Q was subjected to this method, having his contribution points from the Azure Dragon Society pushed into the formation by Bai Xiaochun. As soon as Song Q took flight, the formation detected him, descended with light, and forcibly took him away. The Sky Alliance intended to use this method to take Bai Xiaochun away. This is a one-time opportunity. If we lack the points and fail, it will make the Azure Dragon leader wary, and we won't be able to do it this way again. Therefore, at all costs, we must spend these contribution points. Even more is worth it. Everyone in the Sky Alliance was determined, deciding to wait a few more days, until the night of the full moon, when the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sex Formation was at its strongest, before taking action. That night, the full moon hung high in the sky, its light illuminating the entire Sky City in gentle moonlight. Even in the darkness, the city was bustling with activity, filled with the sounds of people. The Azure Dragon Alliance's inn was no exception, with cultivators constantly coming and going, some serving, others entering the ruins. Bai Xiaochun sat at the table, to maidservants fanning him from behind. These fans, if taken outside, would certainly be fought over, as they required a large amount of cultivation points to obtain. But Bai Xiaochun simply used them for ordinary fanning. The table he sat at was also made of 1,000-year-old wood. If crafted into a flying sword, its power would be extraordinary, but now it was merely used as a table on the table. Countless delicacies were piled up like small mountains, each item incredibly precious and expensive. Even the bowls and chopsticks were treasure artifacts. The entire room was incredibly luxurious, enough to shock even a nascent soul cultivator. Su Baokai, Shen Xuanzi, and Zhang Daopin sat beside Bai Xiaochun, having already eaten their fill and chatting idly. Chen Manyao obediently seated beside Bai Xiaochun, also gently fanned herself with a fan, smiling subtly. The whole group was dressed in extravagant, nouveau rich attire. Li Yuansheng, he really doesn't keep his word. 3 days have already passed, and he still hasn't managed to get us out of here. Bai Zikun patted his stomach, burped from fullness, and said proudly, "Young master, actually, we're doing very well here. Haha, everything we eat and use is top-notch. You won't find anything like this in the Reverse River sect. I'm really curious. I wonder what it's like in the Rainbow Peak." Su Baozi laughed. "Ask him." Bai Zikun coughed, pointing at Su Baozi. "Oh, look how ambitious you are. Back then, we were absolutely right not to let you into the fire stove room. Hey, Su Baozi, be a little more ambitious. You know, it's much better here than Rainbow Peak. Only a fool would attempt ascension. I, Bai Zikun, want to stay here my whole life." Bai Xiaochun waved his hand, his heart filled with pride. Shen Xuanzi and Zhang Dapin burst into laughter. Su Baozi was flustered, about to say something, when Bai Xiaochun waved his hand again. "Listen to me." Bai Xiaochun was about to boast about his journey to the Rainbow Bridge, to tell everyone how desolate it was on the Rainbow Bridge, but he suddenly froze, feeling a tremor in his storage bag. He quickly pulled out his identity token, scanned it with his spiritual sense, and then stared in astonishment. He looked at the contribution points on the token. They had increased dramatically for no apparent reason. What's going on? Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened as he watched his contribution points skyrocket to 1 million, then to million, 3 million, and finally 4 million. Bai Xiaochun cried out in fear, unable to explain to the divine calculators, hastily distributing his contribution points to everyone. However, despite his quick reaction, it was too late. Boom! His contribution points had already surpassed 4 million, reaching over 5 million. Such a large number of contribution points immediately caused the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sex formation to tremble, and a dazzling light shot out, heading straight towards Bai Xiaochun's room. "No!" Bai Xiaochun screamed. The divine calculators panicked, but it was too late, as the light pierced through the formations and enveloped Bai Xiaochun. Yet, Bai Xiaochun's contribution points continued to increase wildly, reaching over 7 million. The formation's light, as if enraged, flared up, pulling Bai Xiaochun out of the room and soaring into the sky. Bai Xiaochun screamed in agony, and the divine calculators' faces changed color as they rushed out, but they didn't know what to do. "I don't want to go. I can't bear to leave this place. I don't want to be a yellow-robed disciple." Bai Xiaochun was on the verge of tears. By now, he understood that he had been ambushed by the Sky Society. His contribution points were still increasing, showing just how determined the Sky Society was. The beam of light guiding him was much larger than that of the others, and since it was the middle of the night, it was incredibly eye-catching. The entire Sky City saw it, and of course, the members of the Sky Society also saw it, and everyone was excited. The cultivators of Sky City who had misunderstood Bai Xiaochun because of the Wisdom Illusion Pill and the Super Grade Tranquility Pill also stood up, excitedly cheering. Old Demon Bai has finally left. Heaven has eyes, the Azure Dragon leader has ascended. Haha, this poisonous demon was the #1 overlord of Sky City. Now that he's gone, the mountain weighing on our backs is gone. Bai Xiaochun was pulled straight up into the Rainbow Sky domain by the light. The disciples in charge of guiding the ascending disciples on the Rainbow Sky also stared down at the Sky City in bewilderment, clearly hearing the joyful cheers below. This ascending disciple was truly beloved. They had never seen such a large and bright guiding light before. Bai Xiaochun slowly appeared before them. "I don't want to become a yellow-robed disciple." Bai Xiaochun wailed miserably, regretting his arrogance and lack of vigilance towards the Sky Society. His wailing startled the guiding cultivators. They had been guiding disciples here for many years, and everyone ascending was incredibly excited. This was the first time they had seen someone ascending with such sorrow. Bai Xiaochun sighed deeply, walking dejectedly. The scenery here was picturesque. The spiritual energy was abundant, lakes were everywhere, and immortal mountains were dimly visible. But Bai Xiaochun still felt better staying at the inn. He was gloomy. He had to accept the reality. One shouldn't be too outstanding, alas. I never imagined that even with all my humility, I, Bai Xiaochun, would still have to bid farewell to the mortal world and become a yellow-robed disciple. Bai Xiaochun sighed regretfully. The Rainbow Void has 10 different paths, Each yellow-robed cultivator who is promoted will be chosen by one path, but all 10 paths only open on fixed days, and the selection only happens once. The 2 yellow-robed cultivators who escorted Bai Xiaojun kept sizing him up, secretly thinking that perhaps they shouldn't make things difficult for this guy. Because Bai Xiaojun's ascent caused such a commotion, these 2 yellow-robed disciples, who usually treat ascendants very harshly, were somewhat polite to Bai Xiaojun. But Daoist Bai, you're quite lucky. Today is only 4 months away from the 10 paths selection day. The 2 introduced the rainbow void to Bai Xiaojun as they walked, which was also their duty. The entire rainbow realm is divided into 5 zones because of the 10 sects. The innermost zone is the sect master's territory. You can't enter without being summoned. The other areas are subzones of the 10 sects, the 2 guides explained carefully. Bai Xiaojun had only briefly visited before, but this time, after hearing the explanation, he learned much more. Although it was called a rainbow realm, it was more like flat land. 7 colored energy floated in the air, but the ground was entirely blue stone. 7 colored soil was only found in immortal mountains. What impressed Bai Xiaojun most was the gentle nature of the spiritual energy here, making it easy to absorb without the same depletion as in the Void City. Looking into the distance, one could see the world of towering green mountains and clear blue waters, and the Tangshan River flowing peacefully. Looking across, there was an endless, boundless ocean. The last time Bai Xiaojun came, he was inside the realm and couldn't see very far. But now that he was outside the realm, he could see the vast ocean. This boundless sea was enormous, seemingly endless. The spiritual energy on the surface of the sea was extremely dense, almost raging, causing powerful, surging waves to constantly rise. Is this the Tangshan Sea? Bai Xiaojun murmured. The 2 arrogant guiding cultivators smiled. That's right, only disciples like us, who have been promoted to the yellow robe, are qualified to stay here for a long time, to see the Tangshan Sea, and to feel its fullness. This sea is the core of the Tangshan world. All the spiritual energy originates from it. As long as this sea remains dry, the Tangshan continent will forever flourish. Bai Xiaojun took a deep breath, gazing at the Tangshan Sea. A strong urge to ride the waves and set foot on the Tangshan Sea welled up within him. After a long while, he turned away, looking at the enormous ancient warship on the other side of the waterfall. The warship was pitch black. From this vantage point, it was even more clearly visible. Its hull heavily damaged in many places. Even the sails were incomplete. Numerous shadowy figures flitted about on the ship, a terrifying sight. Bai Xiaojun recoiled in fear, quickly averting his gaze. Along the way, he encountered a few cultivators from the Rainbow Void, mostly in yellow robes. He saw no one in green or blue robes. Perhaps they were few, or perhaps they weren't even in this area. The cultivators in the Rainbow Void were exactly as Bai Xiaojun had initially imagined, arrogant and cold, rarely speaking to each other, at most only glancing at each other. Therefore, the entire Rainbow Void was very quiet. This silence was very unfamiliar to Bai Xiaojun, but he had no choice. He followed the 2 guiding cultivators to the registration area, obtained his identity token, received his golden robe, and went to receive his cave dwelling. Bai Xiaojun looked around, feeling strange and lonely again. His dwelling was a very ordinary cave dwelling. The only good thing was that from the entrance he could see the vast sea in the distance. Besides that, there was nothing else. The cave dwelling wasn't large, and the interior layout was ordinary, far inferior to what he had in Void City. Bai Xiaojun sighed, walked around to examine it, then sat down and began to cultivate. The speed of cultivation here was clearly much better than in Void City, and the consumption was almost imperceptible, so he no longer felt hungry. With each breath, a continuous stream of spiritual energy surged into Bai Xiaojun's body, then spread throughout his entire being. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. For these 10 days, besides cultivating, he also went around to familiarize himself with the surroundings, meeting a few yellow-robed disciples, but everyone was very indifferent, and no one bothered to pay attention to him. He also learned that in the Rainbow Void, more than half of the yellow-robed disciples were core formation cultivators. Although there were also foundation, establishment, and pseudo-core formation cultivators, they were all people with extraordinary combat power. He also inquired about the place to cultivate the human mountain technique, but unfortunately, it wasn't in the Rainbow Void, but on the second level where the sect master resided. The second level of the Rainbow Void, on the left, is the Heavenly Human Residence. On the right is the Sect Master and the Training Area. Bai Xiaochun looked up, gazing at the second level of the Rainbow Void. Yellow Robe disciples wanting to return to the Void City would face some restrictions, which were nothing to people like Li Yuansheng. But for Bai Xiaochun, this was a very complicated matter. But the Jade Slip transmitted the message perfectly. Through the telepathic communication with the divine calculators, Bai Xiaochun learned that after his departure, the Azure Dragon Society had slightly declined, but it was all right. Although the Sky Society also had its share of arrogance, they still had some reservations about Bai Xiaochun, so they didn't dare to do anything rash. The divine calculators told Bai Xiaochun that they were preparing to finish everything and then ascend with him. Bai Xiaochun was very much looking forward to it. Without Zhang Dapeng and the others, he was very bored, spending his days cultivating the Immortal Longevity Technique and the Cold Gate Cultivation Technique. This life continued until a month later. One afternoon, while Bai Xiaochun was cultivating, he suddenly sensed something. He waved his hand and opened the door. A person was approaching from outside. The person paused slightly at the door, then continued to enter, their face very cold. It was Song Qiu. Queer. Bai Xiaochun excitedly jumped up, wanting to go out to greet him, but Song Qiu snorted, took a few steps back, and instead of entering the cave, stood outside. Bai Xiaochun, consider the matter of your promotion to the Yellow Robe as something Song Qiu, You've just arrived and there are many things you don't know, so I need to remind you of two things, Song Qiu said. First, the selection process for the various sects will take place 3 months from now. I will definitely participate because I arrived earlier than you and know a little more. Some sects are very lucrative, with few deaths and many rewards, such as the Cultivation Technique sect, the Guardian sect, and the Spirit Refining sect. But there are also some extremely dangerous sects, where many die, especially the Darkwalker sect and the Demon Subduing sect. You must be careful. Secondly, after you've been here for a month, you don't know, but there's been an underground force targeting you. There have been rumors of them wanting to deal with you. Think about who you've offended and be prepared. Song Qiu looked at Bai Xiaochun, then turned and left immediately, as if he had only come here to repay the contribution points. Bai Xiaochun was lost in thought, silently watching Song Quest's retreating figure, a smile playing on his lips. He felt Song Qiu was too weary, always scowling and radiating murderous intent, as if he wanted to bite anyone he encountered. However, Bai Xiaochun remembered all of Song Quest's warnings. He knew that the person who wanted to deal with him was undoubtedly connected to the Heavenly Sky Society, most likely Li Yuansheng. Although he knew who it was, Bai Xiaochun could do nothing about it. This was the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect, and he could only try to be on guard. If this were the Reverse River Sect, I'd see if I could kill you. Bai Xiaochun grumbled, wondering how he would handle his opponent if he were in their place. 10 pads. Bai Xiaochun's face darkened. It was quite possible, but even if he thought of it, he couldn't think of a way to resolve it. He had considered seeking out the Void Realm's sect leader, but since there was no sect leader to summon him, disciples couldn't enter. Even if they wanted to pay their respects, they needed the sect leader's permission. Bai Xiaochun had gone to pay his respects for several days, but was never summoned, and each time he returned dejected. Fortunately, the group of divine calculators had all decided to make sacrifices and ascended from the Void City, including Zhang Dapeng and Chen Manyao. Only Su Baoxai remained to manage the hotel business. They were all overjoyed to find Bai Xiaochun. You guys think of a way to help me. What about the 10 pets selection? Bai Xiaochun recounted everything to them. Divine Calculator and Zhang Dapeng frowned, racking their brains, but couldn't come up with anything. They both turned to look at Chen Manyao. Bai Xiaochun also looked at Chen Manyao. She came from the savage wilderness, and the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect had many dark agents. If it really came down to dealing with this matter, she would naturally be useful. Chen Manyao smiled. Xiaochun, don't worry. I can probably handle this. Tell me which path you want to enter. That's better, Dower. I choose the Guardian path. Bai Xiaochun almost hugged Chen Manyao. Chen Manyao blushed, pinched Bai Xiaochun, took out the jade slip, and began contacting her fellow disciples in the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect. After a while, she turned to Bai Xiaochun with a smug smile. Bai Xiaochun was very excited. Zhang Dapan also spoke up wanting to go to the spirit refining path, and Shen Swansea also wanted to go to the cultivation path. Time passed quickly, and 3 months went by. Including the first month, 4 months had passed, and the time for the 10 paths to select their successors had finally arrived. Early in the morning, a bell rang throughout the rainbow void, and all the yellow-robed disciples who had ascended in the past year emerged from their cave dwellings. They knew that today was the day that would decide their future, even their life and death, so they had to be careful. However, the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect had established rules. Only the 10 paths would choose the candidates, not the other way around. The decision wasn't in their hands, so everyone was anxious. Bai Xiaochun, dressed neatly from early morning, his face bright and full of anticipation, emerged from his cave dwelling. In the past few months, using his contribution points to pave the way, he had received a lot of information. He knew that the Guardian Hall was an excellent place, responsible for protecting the entire Rainbow Void, and that the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect was almost never invaded. So the cultivators of the Guardian Hall usually only enforced internal laws. It was very majestic, like the law enforcement hall of the Lingxi sect back then. Bai Xiaochun was very moved, thinking that with his status as a member of the Guardian Hall, moving around in the Rainbow Void would surely be very impressive, and he was really looking forward to it. More than 200 yellow-robed disciples who ascended this year quickly flew to the inner area of the realm. When Bai Xiaochun arrived, he also saw Zhang Dapeng, Shen Swansea Chen Man Yao, and Song Qiu among the crowd. They looked at each other several times, but because they were quite far apart, no one said anything, and they all stood solemnly in the square. After the bell stopped ringing, the square was completely silent. After a while, 10 rainbows suddenly appeared from the void, flying straight towards them, revealing 10 figures. These 10 people, male and female, young and old, were all nascent soul cultivators. Among them were 3 women, who looked very beautiful but very serious, and the more so, the stronger their attraction. The other nascent soul cultivators were a mix of old, wrinkled faces, young men, gentle figures, and those radiating a murderous aura. Greetings to the 10 sect masters, they all shouted in unison. Whoever I call out, come stand beside me. Chen Bao, Su Cad, Zhou Songli. The 10 nascent soul cultivators responded, and whoever was called respectfully flew up to the side of the nascent soul cultivator who had called their name. Song Qiu, the fierce nascent soul cultivator, announced. Song Qiu smoothly flew out, and a moment later, Chen Manyao was also called by a female nascent soul cultivator. Zhang Dapan, by some stroke of luck, was also summoned by a female nascent soul cultivator. Shen Swansea was called by a cold, young nascent soul cultivator. Seeing the number of cultivators around him dwindling, Bai Xiaochun began to grow impatient, occasionally glancing at the 10 nascent soul cultivators, using his eyes to remind them of his presence. But none of the nascent soul cultivators looked at him, and what was even more surprising was that among the 10 nascent soul cultivators, there was one who hadn't spoken a word from beginning to end. This was a kind-faced old man, always smiling as he looked at the cultivators on the ground. Of the more than 200 people, only a dozen or so remained. Bai Xiaochun was stunned and quickly looked at Chen Manyao, who was also extremely surprised. Bai Xiaochun suddenly felt uneasy. The 9 nascent soul cultivators remained silent, all turning to look at the kind-faced old man. The female cultivator who had selected Zhang Dapeng smiled. Brother Feng, we've made our selection. The kind-faced old man smiled and lightly waved his sleeve. All right, if you don't want these people, then I will. The old man pointed, and a 7-colored light appeared beneath the feet of Bai Xiaochun and the other 10, pushing them towards him. Then I'll take my leave. The old man smiled and led Bai Xiaochun and his group away. Bai Xiaochun stared blankly at the cultivators, all of them nervous. One of them asked, Senior, what sect are we? Congratulations on choosing the demon-subduing sect. The old man turned to look at Bai Xiaochun, smiling broadly, but his face was filled with murderous intent. Bai Xiaochun was terrified. The demon-subduing sect. Bai Xiaochun trembled with fear. He couldn't believe that even with Chen Manyao's help, he had still been chosen by the demon-subduing sect. He was utterly bewildered. Those around him also changed color, their expressions extremely grim. The most dangerous place in the Rainbow Void domain ever, with the highest death toll and the highest level of danger, the demon-subduing sect. Oh my god, I heard that over a decade ago, the demon-subduing sect went out on a mission and lost thousands of people in one go. I also heard that the disciples of the demon-subduing sect go out on missions to kill people for training, constantly facing life and death. No. Everyone was in an uproar, trembling with fear. No one expected to be taken away by the demon-subduing hall. Suddenly, the old man glared. Silence. His voice was like thunder, silencing the entire group. They all looked at the old man, whose usually benevolent face had become incredibly fierce. The demon-subduing hall, slaying demons and monsters, killing enemies such supreme glory. And you dare to question it? Listen carefully now. I will increase my speed using only 1/10 of my strength. You must all catch up to me. After I reach the demon-subduing hall's main hall square, the last one to arrive will be given a major mission. I will reward and punish fairly. If anyone surpasses me, they will not need to complete any missions for 3 years. The old man snorted, turned around, and with a flash, his speed increased dramatically as he sped away. The mission was immense, and it was clear there was nothing good about it. Everyone was giving it their all, rushing forward. Bai Xiaochun felt he had been tricked. Anger surged within him, a mixture of anger and fear towards the demon-subduing sect. All sorts of terrifying rumors he'd heard recently flashed through his mind. The recent gossip, in particular, frightened him. It's probably not Chen Manyao. She has no motive to set a trap for me. This must be because Chen Manyao's people aren't strong enough. It's almost certainly someone from Li Yuansheng's family, trying to kill me, using all their might. Bai Xiaochun gritted his teeth. Seeing everyone around him speeding up, and him about to be left behind, he took a deep breath and accelerated as well. His speed was incredibly fast, and he continued to increase it relentlessly, like a rocket. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with everyone. He didn't want to be the last one, he wanted to be the one rewarded, exempt from duty for 3 years. He saw the old man's back in the distance. The old man walked leisurely, taking 1 step at a time, but each step covered more than 10 jump, approximately 30 meters. The old man thought that with the abilities of these disciples, catching up would already be good. He intended to teach them a small lesson, showing them how painful it was to be in the demon-subduing hall, so every year when selecting people, he would do such a threatening exercise. While still walking and contemplating, he suddenly heard a whistling sound behind him. The old man was stunned, his divine sense sweeping behind him, and he immediately saw Bai Xiaochun, like a magnificent horse, far surpassing the others, constantly closing the distance between them. Oh, the old man was very surprised. In all the years he had been selecting cultivators for the demon-subduing hall, he had never encountered anyone with such speed. He became a little more serious, increased his speed, and dashed away several hundred zhang. Bai Xiaochun clearly saw that he was about to catch up, but in an instant, the other party widened and the distance again. Impatient, he deployed his wings, flapping them several times, his speed exploding, becoming several times faster than before, and swiftly pursued. The two moved one after the other at incredible speed. Upon closer inspection, Bai Xiaochun's speed was even slightly faster than the old man's. Using his wings, physical strength, and even his heavenly Dao golden core, Bai Xiaochun gradually closed the gap from several hundred feet to only about 10 feet. The old man glared, increasing his speed even further, pushing his cultivation to its limit. For so many years, he had selected disciples for the demon-subduing hall countless times, yet he had never encountered anyone whose speed surpassed his own cultivation level. But now he had, which greatly surprised him. However, he realized that even with his cultivation at its limit, Bai Xiaochun was still gradually closing the gap. Finally, Bai Xiaochun caught up to the old man, panting heavily, veins bulging on his forehead, his eyes filled with stubborn determination and recklessness. Bai Xiaochun was truly risking his life. He saw the demon-subduing hall in the distance, a large mountain ahead, shrouded in mist, surrounded by numerous pavilions and halls, and many cultivators moving about. On the mountain, he saw 3 large characters. Demon-subduing hall. Each character was hundreds of feet tall, blood-red, and terrifying to behold, radiating a murderous aura. Bai Xiaochun narrowed his eyes, increased his speed, determined to overtake the old man and obtain the 3-year exemption from the mission. What is this brat trying to do? He's determined to outmaneuver me. The old man glared. He was a nascent soul cultivator, his cultivation profound. Even using only a fraction of his strength, letting a junior catch up would be humiliating. So he frowned. Seeing the demon-subduing hall appear before him, he hesitated for a moment, then Bai Xiaochun accelerated, unleashing the mountain-shattering charge, instantly overtaking the old man and rushing towards the main hall square. The nascent soul old man's eyes widened, cursing inwardly, and he took a step forward, using instant teleportation. But just as he teleported, Bai Xiaochun also unleashed a burst of cold energy, his body also teleporting, disappearing in an instant and reappearing right in the main hall square. The old man's mouth dropped open, his eyes rolled, and he teleported again. I arrived first. Ha ha ha. Bai Xiaochun panted, excitedly roaring. He was certain he was the first to arrive, but while still ecstatic, he heard a calm, aged voice coming from afar. Yes, you were indeed the first to arrive, but what are you doing standing there? The square I was talking about is right here. Bai Xiaochun was stunned and quickly turned around, seeing that not far from him, in another part of the square, the demon-subduing hall master was smiling mischievously at him. Bai Xiaochun was stunned, looking around. He was standing in the main hall square, while the old man was in the side hall square. Damn it! You! Bai Xiaochun was speechless, feeling this old man was utterly shameless, but unable to say anything. He sighed indignantly and ran over, bowing to the old man. Disciple Bai Xiaochun greets the hall master. The nascent soul old man smiled, putting on a benevolent expression, but inwardly he scoffed. Bai Xiaochun dared to surpass him. He had already made a record of this debt. From within the demon-subduing hall, many people rushed forward. The fastest was a middle-aged cultivator with a goatee, a late-stage core formation cultivator. He bowed to the nascent soul old man, his words extremely respectful and flattering, not bothering to care that Bai Xiaochun heard him. The nascent soul old man smiled and nodded. The middle-aged cultivator then stepped aside, looking at Bai Xiaochun, blinking thoughtfully. Before long, other cultivators arrived one after another, the last being a foundation establishment cultivator at the peak of the foundation establishment stage. The old man glanced at him indifferently, then turned away, but the goatee cultivator noticed. I am Feng Yud, the head of the demon-subduing hall. From now on, you are all cultivators of the demon-subduing hall. Everything must be done according to the rules of the demon-subduing hall. Taoist Yun, you handle this. After saying this, the old man turned and swiftly ascended the mountain peak. Everyone was bewildered. The person called Taoist Yun was a middle-aged Taoist with a goatee, outwardly smiling but inwardly not smiling as he looked at Bai Xiaochun and his group. You all need not fear. This humble one is an attendant of the demon-subduing hall. Now that you are here, everyone is one of us. However, since this is your first time here, you must all undertake a trial mission. I will now assign you your missions. Taoist Yun smiled, his eyes sweeping around, and when they passed Bai Xiaochun, a glint flashed in his eyes. Zhao Ke, you go to Juyin continent and kill the demonic cultivator Chuwu. This person was killing people indiscriminately in Juyin continent a month ago. Practicing evil techniques and magical artifacts, he must be killed. Liu Peng, your mission is to kill Chen Fan of the Yun Chen family. This person is at the early stage of the core formation realm, but according to the information received, he is seriously injured. Bring his head back here. Han Ping, you go to Dinlei continent and urge the Liu family to submit their tribute, and escort the tribute back here. Each person was quickly assigned a task, some easy, some difficult, but at first glance, they didn't seem to differ much. It seemed this was their first mission, and Yun Daozi didn't intend to make things difficult for anyone. Each task also earned contribution points, some as many as tens of thousands, others as few as 10 or 20,000. The second-to-last cultivator was assigned a seemingly simple task, to deliver a letter to a place called Wallen Mountain. The other cultivators bowed their heads in acceptance, but Bai Xiaochun was uneasy. He was the last to receive an assignment. Bai Xiaochun, you will go to Yangdong continent, Pailin Cliff, and kill the cultivator Zhuo Hangfeng. This person is at the late foundation establishment stage. The reward is 30,000 contribution points, Taoist Yun said indifferently, handing Bai Xiaochun a jade slip, then smiled. Fellow Taoists, this is your first mission. The difficulty isn't great, but don't underestimate it. Otherwise, you'll face punishment you won't want to see. Now, you have 1 hour to prepare. After 1 hour, begin the mission. Daoist Yan waved his hand, and a disciple came forward, giving each of Bai Xiaochun's group an identity token from the demon-subduing hall. Then Daoist Yan departed. Everyone exchanged glances, feeling a sense of unease. They had no desire to talk, and instead, they dispersed, focused on preparing for their mission. An hour was too short, and there was so much to prepare. Bai Xiaochun returned to his cave dwelling, reluctant to leave, but knowing this wasn't the Reverse River sect, he had no choice. Kill the cultivator Zhuo Hengfeng? Is he really a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator? If so, this mission shouldn't be difficult. Bai Xiaochun vaguely sensed something was amiss. Chen Manyo had made arrangements, yet he still ended up in the demon-subduing hall. Although he didn't know how Li Yuansheng used his methods, he felt he was in danger. When Bai Xiaochun returned to his cave dwelling, Zhang Dapin and Chen Manya's group had also arrived. As soon as Chen Manya saw him, she immediately began explaining. Young master, I really did arrange this, and I've also found out that Li Yuansheng was secretly behind it. Chen Manya looked at Bai Zikun apologetically. Zhang Daping and Shen Xuanzi were also worried. The two of them were fine, chosen to join the good sect, but Bai Zikun had fallen into the demon-subduing sect, which was very dangerous. Bai Zikun sighed. He no longer had the energy to care why he had joined the demon-subduing sect. What he cared about was the mission he had to do and how dangerous it was. You don't need to say anything more. Quickly help me investigate how dangerous this mission of mine is. I have to go on the mission immediately. Bai Zikun told the three of them about his mission. Zhang Daping and the other two nodded, knowing the importance of the matter, and hurried away to gather information. Time was too short for Bai Xiaochun to investigate on his own. He quickly packed his belongings, grabbed the mission jade slip, and waited. Less than an incense stick's worth of time remained before he left the cave. Zhang Daping and Chen Manyao hadn't returned yet, so Shen Xuanzi, sparing no effort, cast a divination for him. Young master, rest assured, my calculations are never wrong. Although you are in some danger, you will definitely turn misfortune into good fortune. With a great benefactor assisting you, Shen Xuanzi said seriously. Bai Xiaochun sighed, about to speak, when the mission jade slip lit up, urging him to quickly complete the mission. Bai Xiaochun hurriedly flew to the teleportation array, heading to Yangdong Continent. Yangdong Continent was one of the 97 continents belonging to the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. It wasn't particularly desolate, but it was quite far from the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. Here, it's summer all year round, the air is thick with forests, the climate is humid, and the mountains are towering, with no sign of human presence, not even in the teleportation array area. The Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect's teleportation array is located in a mountain valley, surrounded by protective formations. Except for cultivators of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect, no outsider can enter. The teleportation array lit up, and Bai Xiaochun stepped out. Hopefully this trip goes smoothly. Bai Xiaochun was apprehensive. He remembered that back in the Luochen mountain range, it had been relatively safe at first, but unexpectedly, it turned out to be incredibly dangerous. Never mind, I just need to be careful. I can't throw away my life. If I really can't complete it, then so be it. Bai Xiaochun meticulously inspected his magic treasures, especially the reverse dragon horn, the ancient demon scale, and the 9 continents map. These 3 supreme treasures were all powerful artifacts, giving him peace of mind. Li Yuansheng, when I return, I will definitely not let you get away with it. Bai Xiaochun gritted his teeth. He really missed the Void City terribly. Ever since arriving at the Rainbow Bridge, it felt like he had fallen from the mortal world to the underworld. Bai Xiaochun slowly flew towards Bai Lin Cliff. Surrounded by dense forests, towering trees stretched endlessly, the ground covered in thick layers of fallen leaves, so ancient they had rotted into mud. Dark clouds filled the sky, enveloping everything. There was no rain, yet thunder rumbled somewhere. The desolate world made Bai Xiaochun feel utterly alone. It would be best to encounter a local cultivator and gather information about Zhuo Hengfeng, Bai Xiaochun thought to himself. Discarding his Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect's golden robe and changing into ordinary clothes, searching for someone along the way. But this place was too deserted. Bai Xiaochun lingered for 10 days, yet he didn't see a single cultivator in the boundless forest. instead frequently encountering ferocious beasts, giant snakes hundreds of feet long, human-faced birds, and so on. He even saw a giant tree suddenly open a huge mouth, swallowing a large bird that flew by, startling him and causing him to fly higher. That's not right. There shouldn't be anyone living in Yangdong continent. Bai Xiaochun frowned. Some of the ferocious beasts in this forest were equivalent to those at the core formation stage. He paused. How could any cultivator who lives here be at the late foundation establishment stage? What late foundation establishment stage cultivator would dare to reside here? Bai Xiaochun saw a huge lizard flying up into the sky in the distance. It was clearly flying up, and then it transformed into a dragon. It thrashed and danced in the clouds, its terrifying pressure spreading in all directions, causing him to quickly retreat. I'm not doing this mission anymore. I don't believe I'll be executed by the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect for failing to complete the mission. Bai Xiaochun retreated and returned to the teleportation array. In the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect, Bai Xiaochun had been gone for 10 days. Zhang Dapeng and the others were worried. They didn't know the specifics of his mission, but they had investigated and learned that the person Bai Xiaochun was supposed to kill was a Foundation establishment cultivator with a significant background. They tried to inform Bai Xiaochun, but couldn't contact him. Perhaps it was because the Eternal Movement continent was too far away to reach him. Above the rainbow void in the inner hall of the Demon Subduing Hall, the Hall Master was meditating. He had long since ceased paying attention to the newcomers, unconcerned about their lives or deaths, as many disciples of the Demon Subduing Hall had died over the years. Moreover, the first mission was usually not very dangerous, with a high completion rate. He only briefly inquired about young Daozi's whereabouts, then dismissed him and returned to his cultivation. Suddenly, the old man's storage bag glowed. He frowned, opened his eyes, and scanned the area with his divine consciousness. His expression changed, and his eyes widened. This is the Heavenly Envoy summoning me. He knew a little about this Heavenly Envoy. This person was mysterious and unpredictable, said to be from the Heavenly Sea, and had only stayed in the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect for a short time. Even the demigod ancestors of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect had to show him 3 parts of respect. Such a powerful figure summoning him made the old man uneasy. He immediately stood up and flew to the first layer of the Rainbow Bridge. There was a restriction there, but as soon as the old man arrived, it dispersed, allowing him to pass. The first layer of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect only had 1 bridge. The residents of the demigod ancestors and the Heavenly Envoy had stayed there when he arrived. The old man approached, but dared not enter, only standing outside, bowing respectfully. Feng Yud, the head of the Rainbow Realm Demon Subduing Hall, requests an audience with the Tongshan Envoy. As soon as he finished speaking, a blurry figure appeared before him, gesturing for him to follow. The old man hurried after, arriving at a beautiful mountain valley filled with birdsong and blooming flowers, and brimming with spiritual energy in the Rainbow Realm. In the valley lay a lake teeming with fish, their forms resembling young dragons. On the lakeshore stood a wooden house, inside which sat a person playing a zither. The music was elegant and refined, yet subtly contained a murderous intent, affecting the surrounding spiritual energy and causing it to condense into a ferocious, beastly image. The old man slowed his pace. Even before reaching the house, the oppressive aura was overwhelming. He dared not proceed further, stopping and bowing respectfully. Feng Yud, I pay my respects to the Tongshan Envoy. The old man respectfully spoke, a voice so imposing that even the demigod ancestors had to show him 3 parts of respect. Feng Yud dared not offend him given his cultivation and background. Feng Yud. After a long pause, a girl's voice, quite authoritative, came from the wooden house. Don't be nervous. I summoned you here because I have a task for you to perform. Please speak, Envoy. I am willing to do my utmost to complete it. Feng Yud declared resolutely. In your Demon Subduing Hall, there is a disciple named Bai Xiaochun. During his time in the Rainbow Void, nothing must happen to him. If you do well, when he becomes a nascent soul cultivator and joins the Elder Council, I will grant you an opportunity to become a celestial being. Feng Yud was stunned, but he knew that the less he knew about certain things, the safer it was. Heavenly being. Feng Yud revealed his longing and excitement, quickly bowing even deeper. Envoy, rest assured, I will certainly handle this matter without any mistakes. Feng Yud spoke clearly, then excitedly left. Who is Bai Xiaochun to be able to make such a great figure personally give me orders? Feng Yud felt the name sounded somewhat familiar, but couldn't remember who it was. Regardless of who Bai Xiaochun was, he would do his best to ensure he wasn't in any danger and could become a nascent soul cultivator. Haha, heaven has given me a chance. Feng Yud was exhilarated and sped back to the demon-subduing hall. Tell Yandeozi to come see me immediately. As soon as he arrived, Feng Yud immediately gave the order. Yandeozi was in charge of assigning tasks to the cultivators in the hall. For the past few years, he had been satisfied with how this man handled affairs. A moment later, Yandeozi rushed over. Seeing Feng Yud pacing back and forth anxiously, his face beaming, Yandeozi immediately guessed that the sect leader had some good news. Yandeozi, greetings to the sect leader. Yandeozi hastily exclaimed. Congratulations, sect leader. The moment I saw you today, I saw an endless red light radiating from you. You must have something good to celebrate. Yandeozi flattered him. Feng Yud pointed at Yandeozi, shaking his head and smiling. You'll stop judging people by their appearance. Just focus on your cultivation and you'll become a nascent soul cultivator. Yandeozi chuckled, about to add more flattery, but Feng Yud interrupted him with a wave of his hand. Enough, no more flattery, I ask you. Does our demon-subduing sect have a disciple named Bai Xiaochun? Bai Xiaochun. Yandeozi was stunned. Is there or isn't there? Feng Yud saw Yandeozi freeze and raised his eyebrows. Yes, he's a disciple from the group of newcomers. Yandeozi didn't know why Feng Yud was asking about Bai Xiaochun and quickly replied. I remember now, it's him. You immediately bring him. No, go invite him here. Remember to be very polite. Feng Yud was happy, having remembered who Bai Xiaochun was. That guy, whose speed was even faster than his own, made him feel quite uncomfortable, but he had to be polite to that guy. Someone who could attract the attention of such a powerful figure was certainly not ordinary. Yandeozi's eyes widened, his mind in turmoil, his face changing color, sweat beading on his forehead. Oh no, Feng Yud even said invite him. Why haven't you left yet? Feng Yud frowned when he saw Yandeozi standing still. Hall Master, Bai Xiaochun, he couldn't come. He's gone on a mission. Yandeozi trembled, cursing Li Yuansheng inwardly. Bai Xiaochun was chosen to join the demon-subduing hall precisely because Yandeozi had interfered. Li Yuansheng had promised a generous reward if he killed Bai Xiaochun. This wasn't the first time Yandeozi had done something like this. He thought, he's just an ordinary disciple. What if he's a hostage? In the demon-subduing hall, whoever he wants dead will surely die. But now, Yandeozi was trembling from the bottom of his heart. A mission! Feng Yud was stunned, looking at Yandeozi, his eyes becoming as sharp as knives. The old man was the head of the demon-subduing sect. Although he usually didn't pay attention to his work, he wasn't unaware of the wicked schemes within the sect. He knew that Bai Xiaochun must have offended someone, and that Yandeozi had done something. What mission are you going to carry out? Feng Yud's voice was displeased. It's a mission to kill a rogue cultivator named Zhuo Hengfeng. Yandeozi replied miserably. Where are you going to carry out the mission? Be specific. Feng Yud narrowed his eyes, staring intently at Yandeozi, each word icy cold. 2. The Cave of the Earth Fiend Old Monster. Zhuo Hengfeng is a newly accepted disciple of the Earth Fiend Old Monster. Yandeozi hated Li Yuansheng intensely. What? Feng Yud's eyes widened in disbelief. With a wave of his hand, everything in the main hall shattered into dust. You're telling Bai Xiaochun to go to the cave of a nascent soul cultivator like the Earth Fiend Old Monster to kill his disciple. Feng Yud's rage soared. Tell him to come back. He doesn't need to do any mission. Feng Yud roared, his nascent soul cultivation radiating, his voice like thunder echoing throughout the demon-subduing hall. It's too late. He's been gone for over 10 days. He must have arrived by now. Moreover, I've already tampered with his jade slip. The sect can no longer contact him. Yandeozi trembled under Feng Yud's furious anger, kneeling down and weeping as he spoke. You! Feng Yud felt a chill run down his spine, breaking out in a cold sweat. The Earth Fiend Old Monster was also a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, and that guy had a damned hobby, that hobby. As Feng Yud thought about it, his heart grew even more panicked. His face flushed red, and he shouted, "You're so clever." Feng Yud slapped Yendeozi, sending him flying out of the main hall. All cultivators of the demon-subduing hall assemble within 10 breaths. Open the demon-subduing warship. Open all the eternal movement continent teleportation arrays. Open them all. Open them to a wide range, immediately. Feng Haiyujisi roared, shaking the entire demon-subduing sect. The cultivators within the sect rushed forward, not daring to hesitate for a moment. Warships, tens of thousands of feet long, soared into the sky. The teleportation array leading to Yangdong continent also rumbled open. The commotion from the demon-subduing sect alarmed other sects. Even the Void Domain's sect leader on Seven-Colored Mountain noticed and was startled. But before he could ask, Feng Haiyujisi led over 10,000 demon-subduing sect cultivators onto the warships, rushed into the teleportation array, and departed. What's going on? Is that the Void Domain demon-subduing sect? Such a large-scale teleportation. Are they going to destroy some sect? Li Yuansheng was bewildered, suddenly feeling uneasy. Bai Xiaochun was flying towards the teleportation array. At his speed, he would arrive in about 3 days. He sighed, wondering what kind of punishment he would face for not completing the mission. Better to be punished than to lose my life, Bai Xiaochun encouraged himself, when suddenly he saw 3 streaks of rainbow light rushing towards him from afar. The person in the middle was a fair-skinned, handsome young man, holding a fan, wearing a crimson robe. His eyes were slightly gloomy, and his expression somewhat weary, as if he had indulged excessively in wine and women. On either side were 2 elderly men, both at the mid-stage of the core formation realm. Bai Xiaochun saw them, and they saw him. Both sides were startled. This place was desolate, and cultivators were rarely seen here, so both sides looked at each other with wariness. That young man seemed to be Zuo Hengfeng from the mission, because his jade slip contained a portrait of him, and they looked exactly alike. I didn't expect to encounter this mission is indeed problematic. A Foundation establishment cultivator and 2 core formation cultivators protecting him. Damn it, I'm the young master of the Reverse River sect, and I haven't even received such treatment since I left the sect. Bai Xiaochun's heart trembled. He glared, then pretended not to know them and turned to leave. But while he wanted to leave, Zuo Hengfeng didn't. His eyes lit up. The fan in her hand snapped open with a click. She fanned a few times, a lewd smile playing on her lips. It's been a long time since I've seen a cultivator so fair-skinned, with skin as white as snow, a figure neither fat nor thin, truly perfect, and such a pure face. If dressed in women's clothes, he would definitely be a stunning beauty. Zuo Hengfeng's eyes blazed with desire. Bai Xiaochun frowned, turned his head to look, and felt a shiver run down his spine upon seeing Zuo Hengfeng's fiery gaze. You're talking about me? Bai Xiaochun was bewildered. That gaze made him feel as if he were naked. 2 elders, capture this person for me. This is a grand gift I'm giving to my master for his birthday. Zuo Hengfeng licked his lips, laughing gleefully, and pointed his fan at Bai Xiaochun. The 2 mid-stage core formation elders frowned. They could naturally see Bai Xiaochun's cultivation level. Normally, they would have avoided him, but since Zuo Hengfeng had said he wanted to capture the person as a birthday gift, they couldn't refuse. Besides, upon closer inspection, this person was indeed very much to the liking of the Earth Fiend old monster. The 2 immediately flew over. Little darling, don't rush. We have plenty of time to talk. Zuo Hengfeng said excitedly, his eyes sparkling with excitement, his cheeks flushed. Bai Xiaochun glared, angrily roaring, I'm a man. I know, big brother will teach you later. Such beauty in this desolate place is truly rare. Zuo Hengfeng chuckled. 2 nascent soul cultivators from either side pressed towards Bai Xiaochun. Before they even got close, the old man on the left chanted a spell, and black energy flew from his hand, condensing into a ferocious black dragon capable of corroding the surrounding air. A fell wind struck their faces, causing the trees along the way to wither and turn to dust. The old man on the right had red lotuses appear at his feet, forming a formation that enveloped the surroundings, attempting to seal off the area. As the formation took shape, complex runes flickered in his eyes. One is a corrupting check cultivator, the other is a body cultivator of formations. Bai Xiaochun's expression changed. He was truly distressed. He hadn't wanted to complete this mission, but unexpectedly, he had been caught by the other party. He hadn't wanted to cause trouble, yet Zhuo Hengfeng had harbored ill intentions towards him. Bai Xiaochun was enraged, his killing intent radiating outwards. Instead of retreating, he charged forward. The cold gate cultivation technique activated, the intense cold energy causing 100 zhang radius around him to freeze, snowflakes falling. The two old men and Zhuo Hengfeng all changed color. Cold Dao cultivation technique. The two old men exclaimed in shock. Cultivating cold energy to this level was extremely rare in the core formation realm. Bai Xiaochun stepped forward, now less than a zhang, approximately 3 meters away from the old man who had created the black dragon. The ice permeated, freezing the black dragon and transforming it into an ice dragon. Bai Xiaochun instantly vanished, suddenly reappearing to the left of the old man, delivering a punch. Boom! Blood gushed from the old man's mouth as he hastily retreated several steps. Teleportation. The old man on the right was also startled. But Bai Xiaochun, like a flash of lightning, pursued the old man on the left, deploying the throat-shattering lock. In an instant, he was close to the old man. The old man hastily cast a spell, and dense black energy enveloped him, forming a gigantic skull to block Bai Xiaochun. The old man on the right also pushed himself to the limit, runes flashing in his eyes and around him like lightning, rushing forward to stop Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun snorted, wings appearing behind him, activating the mountain-shattering charge, his speed skyrocketing as he lunged at the old man on the right, punching directly at the black skull. Before the black energy could corrode it, Bai Xiaochun's hand pierced through, grabbing the old man's neck. You! The old man's eyes widened in disbelief and horror. Before he could finish his sentence, Bai Xiaochun tightened his grip and quickly retreated. The old man's neck and body twisted, blood gushing from his mouth. He retreated, his eyes filled with terror, but he hadn't gone far when Bai Xiaochun pointed from afar. From within the storage bag, the reverse dragon horn shot out, aiming directly at the old man's forehead. In an instant, it pierced through him. Boom! The old man's eyes widened, his body like a kite with a broken string, falling to the ground. Even in death, he couldn't believe that a single mistake had allowed the opponent to instantly gain the advantage, leading to a continuous onslaught, and in just a few breaths, he was gone. The old man, terrified, scattered his runes, which flew towards Bai Xiaochun. Before they even got close, they all shattered. Loud explosions followed, and a powerful force sent the old man flying backward. Trembling with fear, he flew towards Zhuo Hengfeng, who was frozen stiff in midair, and struck him. With a thud, Zhuo Hengfeng convulsed, spitting blood. His burning eyes were now filled with terror. The old man grabbed his hand and swiftly fled. The old man's every action was smooth and seamless, his reaction incredibly fast. Want to run? Bai Xiaochun turned around, his third eye on his forehead opened, emitting a purple light. The purple light enveloped the old man, causing him to freeze, then be sucked back. Desperate, the old man gritted his teeth and roared, "Young master, hurry!" This person is no ordinary core formation cultivator. He forcefully pushed Zhuo Hengfeng, blood gushing from the corner of Zhuo Hengfeng's mouth. His body transformed into a rainbow and flew away, his heart trembling with regret. He never imagined that a seemingly harmless cultivator could be so powerful. Damn it, damn it. Zhuo Hengfeng trembled, not hesitating to use a life-draining technique, spitting out blood as he fled using blood escape. Behind him, a mournful cry echoed, quickly ceasing, making Zhuo Hengfeng tremble even more. Behind him, the old man who had formed a golden core was bound by Bai Xiaochun's heaven-penetrating Dharma eye. Then he reached out and squeezed him hard. The surrounding cold air penetrated the old man's body, turning him into an ice statue, which Bai Xiaochun then shattered upon hitting the ground. And you too, it's all your fault. Bai Xiaochun glared fiercely at Zhuo Hengfeng's back. Remembering the man's lewd smile and words, a chill ran down his spine. He stomped his foot and sped away with all his might. Wings sprouted from his back, and the mountain-shattering spear accelerated, allowing Bai Xiaochun to quickly catch up even with Zhuo Hengfeng's blood escape technique. As soon as he got close, the cold air spread, causing Zhuo Hengfeng to tremble, his legs stiff, and his speed to slow down. With a flick of Bai Xiaochun's finger, the cold air surrounding Zhuo Hengfeng transformed into sharp ice spikes, stabbing towards him. You dare kill me, my master! Before Zhuo Hengfeng could finish his threat, sharp ice spikes pierced through him, tearing his body into pieces, his form and spirit utterly destroyed. Humph, what about your master? This time I won't kill you. I'll let you disgusting wretch, survive and come back to take revenge on me. Even if you can't defeat me, what if you turn around and take revenge on my friends? Bai Xiaojun gritted his teeth. He and that guy felt utterly disgusted. Suddenly, Little Turtle poked its head out of his storage bag. According to Turtle's experience, those with powerful backgrounds, if they cry out like that before dying, their backers will appear immediately after they die. Little Turtle shook its head and spoke, making Bai Xiaojun's scalp tingle. Shut up! Bai Xiaojun looked around nervously, feeling uneasy. He was about to run away when, from afar, a thunderous roar echoed. Who killed my beloved disciple? This voice was extremely loud, stirring up a storm. The sky and earth changing color, wind rising and clouds swirling, trees in the forest shaking violently. Bai Xiaojun's expression changed. It's all your fault, you jinxed mouth. Bai Xiaojun was worried. The mere sound was terrifying. Surely the person wasn't a core formation cultivator, but very likely a nascent soul cultivator. Bai Xiaojun's hair stood on end, and he frantically fled towards the teleportation array. You dare disrespect me. You dare kill my beloved disciple right in front of my mansion. You want to die. A furious roar was approaching Bai Xiaojun. Bai Xiaojun quickly turned his head to look, seeing a massive black cloud, thousands of feet in diameter, sweeping towards him from afar. Within the black cloud, countless vengeful spirits were howling and seemingly tearing at each other, a terrifying sight. Inside the black cloud stood an old man in black robes, his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes like lightning, filled with rage, his expression gloomy. Even from 1,000 feet away, Bai Xiaojun's gaze made his head explode, and his cultivation trembled. It's a nascent soul cultivator. Bai Xiaojun cried out miserably, tears welling up in his eyes. Hearing the other party's words, that he had killed someone's beloved disciple right in front of their cave dwelling, he felt wronged. I just wanted to leave. He was the one who provoked me. And the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect. They gave me a mission, only telling me to kill a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. But no one told me that disgusting guy had a nascent soul master. The more Bai Xiaojun thought about it, the more wronged he felt. He activated the immortal longevity technique, spreading cold air, and used teleportation to escape. But the black cloud behind him quickly caught up. Die, a furious roar echoed from above, and a huge hand, hundreds of meters in size, emerged from the black cloud and slammed down on Bai Xiaojun. With an overwhelming aura and immense pressure, coupled with a powerful seal surrounding him, Bai Xiaojun's life force was uncontrollably drained away. The other hand struck down, Bai Xiaojun screamed, activating the 9 provinces diagram within him. The 9 provinces diagram instantly appeared, enveloping Bai Xiaojun and deploying its teleportation power. The other hand struck down, but Bai Xiaojun had already disappeared, then reappeared dozens of miles away, his face pale. Without looking back, he unleashed his highest speed and fled. You can't escape. When I catch you, I'll skin you alive and use you to light the sky lanterns. The Earth Fiend old monster chased after him, riding on swirling black clouds. In an instant, he was once again above Bai Xiaojun's head, blocking out the sunlight. He cast a spell, pointing downwards. Within 1,000 jang radius, trees withered and turned into black gas, rising into the air. The entire area seemed sealed, preventing Bai Xiaojun from escaping. Bai Xiaojun's expression changed. The huge, black hand struck down again from the black clouds. He cried out and once more unleashed the 9 provinces diagram. He vanished in an instant, but this time he couldn't appear more than 1,000 feet away, because the entire area had been sealed. Even with teleportation, he could only circle within the sealed area. As soon as he reappeared, the black hand pressed down. Bai Xiaojun was desperate. He couldn't escape the nascent soul's grasp. He roared, "You dare kill me. My master is very powerful. You dare touch me, you will surely die." The Earth Fiend old monster snorted, his hand pressing down again. Even with the turtle pattern cauldron, it's useless. Bai Xiaojun's eyes welled up with tears. Why did Zuo Hengfeng's master immediately rush over after saying those words, while he said the exact same thing and no one came? He was about to fight to the death when, "Earth Fiend old monster, you dare!" A furious shout echoed from afar. This voice made the black hand freeze, and the Earth Fiend old monster spun around to look. Bai Xiaojun was also stunned. From afar, swirling clouds rose, as if a vast army was within, and he vaguely saw 10 warships rushing towards him. On the warships were over 10,000 cultivators, each with powerful cultivation, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. The warships moved at an extremely fast speed, instantly closing in and appearing before the Earth Fiend old monster, firing enormous beams of light directly at him, causing him to change color and hastily retreat. His dark clouds were shattered by the beams of light, and his large black hand was torn apart. Although he retreated quickly, he was still pushed back thousands of feet. The 10 beams of light struck the ground, creating 10 deep craters. A figure flew out from one of the warships. Before he even arrived, his voice echoed in all directions. "Earth Fiend, you dare harm my disciple from the demon-subduing hall." This person was Feng Yud, the hall master of the demon-subduing hall. He rushed forward at top speed, instantly appearing in front of the Earth Fiend, and slammed his hand down. "Feng Yud, are you insane?" The Earth Fiend's expression changed, and he continued to retreat, roaring in confusion. He had never provoked the Void Demon subduing hall before, so why were they mobilizing on such a large scale to find him? 10 warships fired beams of light, sweeping across the sky, striking the Earth Fiend, causing him to spit blood and retreat further. His hair was disheveled, one arm was crippled, and he roared in furious anger. 10 soul annihilation ships. You're insane. To kill me, you're going to do this. Mobilizing 10 soul annihilation ships, wasting so much resources. Is it worth it? The old monster Disha trembled like a leaf, sparing no effort to unleash his secret techniques and flee at lightning speed. Despair filled him. He couldn't comprehend how the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect had gone to such lengths to kill him. To die at the hands of 10 annihilation ships, I accepted. Disha despaired, but suddenly sensed something was wrong. He turned back and saw that Feng Yud hadn't pursued him. Disha rejoiced, quickly running away, clearly having narrowly escaped death. Bai Xiaochun stared blankly at the 10 warships, then at the demon-subduing hall master, his heart filled with gratitude. The sect has been so good to me. Bai Xiaochun's eyes reddened. He shouldn't have doubted the sect, and quickly bowed. "Disciple Bai Xiaochun, are you all right?" Before Bai Xiaochun could finish speaking, Feng Yud anxiously asked. Bai Xiaochun was even more moved. The sect was so good to him, especially the sect master of the demon-subduing hall. Not only did he appear in person, but he also brought over 10,000 people and 10 warships that looked extremely extraordinary. He even remembered his name, which made Bai Xiaochun feel grateful, although he also found it hard to understand. Disciple Bai Xiaochun is fine. Feng Yud took a deep breath, his face becoming gentle again. "Are you injured?" He carefully examined Bai Xiaochun, confirming that he had no wounds, then took out some elixirs from his storage bag and gave them to Bai Xiaochun. "Use them after you return. Don't let any hidden wounds be overlooked. Our demon-subduing hall cannot allow its disciples to shed blood and tears." Feng Yud patted Bai Xiaochun's shoulder. "With your core formation cultivation, you managed to withstand a nascent soul cultivator for so long, Bai Xiaochun. You've truly rendered a great service to the demon-subduing hall." Feng Yud laughed loudly. The cultivators on the ship exchanged glances, unsure of what great service Bai Xiaochun had rendered. They all tried to guess, but it seemed Feng Yud was being overly kind to Bai Xiaochun. The disciples of the demon-subduing hall, who knew Feng Yud all too well, widened their eyes. They had never seen Feng Yud treat any disciple like this before. Normally, Feng Yud appeared gentle, but he was actually a narrow-minded, vengeful person. The slightest displeasure would send chills down their spines. In the demon-subduing hall, they secretly called Feng Yud Feng the King of Hell. Now, seeing how Feng Yanwang treated Bai Xiaochun like a warm spring breeze, everyone couldn't help but be moved. They recalled how Feng Yanwang had frantically called for them together, shouting to mobilize 10 soul-slaying ships, clearly with the purpose of rescuing Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun, who is he? What's his background? What's the relationship between Bai Xiaochun and the sect master? Everyone was frantically speculating. Yan Daozi was also among the crowd, trembling all over, constantly groaning inwardly, terrified to the extreme, and even more resentful of Li Yuansheng for instigating him to assassinate Bai Xiaochun. "Damn Li Yuansheng, you're the one who killed me." Bai Xiaochun was astonished. Since the sect master of the demon-subduing sect had said so, he must have unintentionally rendered a great service. Therefore, he puffed out his chest, his expression fierce and fearless, and shouted loudly, "Those minor injuries are nothing. I only killed over 20 golden core cultivators, over 100 foundation establishment cultivators, and fought a battle with a nascent soul-old monster." Bai Xiaochun swears to protect the demon-subduing sect even if it means death. For the demon-subduing sect, blood and lives are my duty, and I cannot refuse. A small merit is not worth mentioning. His demeanor only added to the astonishment of the surrounding demon-subduing hall cultivators, who stared in disbelief, wanting to laugh but struggling to suppress it. Even Feng Yud couldn't help but cough. He had originally said that so he could use it as an excuse to reward the guy with a bunch of contribution points upon returning. But Bai Xiaochun's boasting was too excessive, making him feel awkward. Seeing that Bai Xiaochun still wanted to say more, he quickly interrupted him. "Alright, let's talk about it when we get back to the sect." Feng Yud waved his hand and led everyone back to the teleportation array. The group quickly passed through the teleportation array and returned to the rainbow upper realm of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect. After a single attack that caused a stir, Bai Xiaochun's name immediately spread throughout the demon-subduing hall. All the disciples knew about him, especially Feng Yud's attitude towards him, which made all the disciples wary whenever they saw him. In the main hall of the demon-subduing hall, Feng Yud summoned Bai Xiaochun. Yan Daozi, Feng Yud's trusted confidant, followed nervously. Yan Daozi had rarely seen Feng Yud's cheerful and considerate demeanor in years, so he was even more apprehensive. "Xiaochun, you did very well this time. You've made many great contributions. From now on, you don't need to do any more tasks for the demon-subduing hall. Just focus on your cultivation," Feng Yud said with a look of admiration, smiling at Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun was shocked, looking at Feng Yud. "How, master, you're so good to me," Bai Xiaochun said, moved. "Not just good, this has never happened before." Yan Daozi, watching Feng Yud and Bai Xiaochun talk, muttered bitterly to himself. "Haha, this is what you deserve. From now on, consider the demon-subduing hall your home. Here, you won't encounter any danger. You don't need to worry about anything. Just cultivate comfortably and strive to break through to the nascent soul stage as soon as possible." Feng Yud's tone became increasingly gentle. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath, feeling incredibly happy, so happy that it came to suddenly, leaving him wondering what merit he had actually gained. "If you have any questions while cultivating, just come and find me. As for the contribution points, with this merit, you can exchange them for anything you need for cultivation from the demon-subduing hall." "How, master?" Bai Xiaochun was startled. "Haha, don't make that childish face, Zikun. The demon-subduing hall is your home, and I am the head of this house. It's only natural that I treat you well. These are elixirs I obtained from the medicine hall, very suitable for a core formation cultivator like you. Remember, you must break through quickly and enter the nascent soul stage. This is the best way to repay me and the demon-subduing hall." Feng Yud's smile became even more benevolent as he handed Bai Xiaochun a storage bag. "How, master?" Bai Xiaochun received the storage bag, deeply moved, bowed to Feng Yud, and then withdrew. As soon as Bai Xiaochun left, Feng Yud's amiable demeanor vanished, replaced by a gloomy expression as he glared at Yan Daozi. "Yan Daozi, you're something else." Yan Daozi immediately knelt down, his face ashen. "Sect master, I was wrong. Fortunately, Bai Xiaochun isn't harmed, otherwise, you would have ruined my grand plan." Feng Yud snorted, flicking his sleeve. A gust of wind swept Yan Daozi out of the main hall, spitting blood. "If it weren't for your unwavering loyalty these past few years, I would have skinned you alive. From now on, if Bai Xiaochun suffers even the slightest harm in the demon-subduing hall, I will make you pay." Feng Yud's voice was icy cold, making Yan Daozi tremble, hastily swearing an oath. "Sect master, rest assured, your disciple swears to complete the mission even if it means death." After waiting for a long time, seeing that no more sounds came from the main hall, Yan Daozi dared to wipe the blood from his mouth, glaring venomously into the distance. This venom wasn't directed at Bai Xiaochun, but at Li Yuansheng. Li Yuansheng. Yan Daozi gritted his teeth, flying out of the demon-subduing hall and rushing to Li Yuansheng's family's cave dwelling. He slammed his fist against the door, shaking the entire cave. Li Yuansheng, who was meditating, quickly opened his eyes, frowned, and went out. "Brother Yan, you..." Li Yuansheng had just opened his mouth, but before he could finish, Yan Daozi had already cast a spell, and a spatial rift appeared, shooting straight at Li Yuansheng. Li Yuansheng, it's a shame Yan Daozi, considered you a friend, yet you dare to harm me. How did I harm you? Li Yuansheng was startled, quickly dodging, also annoyed. You told me to deal with Bai Zikun, which is no different from wanting to use him to kill me. Do you know who Bai Zikun is, Li Yuansheng? When did I, Yan Daozi, ever offend you? Yan Daozi was furious, his hands continuously unleashing attacks on Li Yuansheng. Impossible. He's just a hostage from a mid-level sect. Li Yuansheng's mouth was bleeding, and he kept retreating, his heart pounding. He's not an ordinary person at all. When Sect Master Feng heard he was in danger, his expression immediately changed. I've never seen the Sect Master look like that before. He hastily led over 10,000 disciples of the sect and 10 annihilation ships to chase after him. Upon hearing this, Li Yuansheng's eyes widened in disbelief. How could that be? You don't know how badly the Earth Fiend demon was injured. Yan Daozi was furious, but the opposing family's power was too great. Yan Daozi could only vent his anger, then stormed off. Daozi left. Li Yuansheng still stood outside the cave, his face alternating between pale and flushed, blood still clinging to the corners of his mouth, his breathing heavy, his fists clenched. Bai Xiaochun is just a hostage from a mid-level sect, and the Reverse River sect hasn't even produced a heavenly human realm expert yet. Without a foundation, it could be wiped out at any moment. How much background could such a hostage possibly have? Li Yuansheng gritted his teeth, unable to swallow his anger. Remembering the humiliation he suffered in the Void City in front of so many people, he couldn't bear it any longer. If Yan Daozi refuses to help me, I'll take matters into my own hands. I'll definitely teach that Bai Xiaochun a lesson. Li Yuansheng took out a jade slip and summoned assistance. A few days later, Li Yuansheng emerged from his cave dwelling, his face grim. He left the Rainbow Void Realm via the teleportation array, descended to the Void City, and arrived at Bai Xiaochun's inn in the desert. In the inn, after Zhang Daopan and his group ascended one after another, only Su Baozi remained, comfortably watching a pile of points fill his pockets each day. It's still better here. I have everything I want. Even those young masters would be envious. Su Baozi lay there contentedly, surrounded by maidens attending to him, massaging him. He chuckled, embracing one of them. Today, I've chosen you to serve me, he said, his eyes narrowing in a smile. Master Su Baozi, the maidservant said shyly. Su Baozi smiled, his stomach warming. He was about to turn around when a deafening explosion rang out outside, shaking the ground and tearing off the roof. Screams of agony erupted. Su Baozi rushed out, intending to scold, when he saw Li Yuansheng, clad in a golden robe, hovering in midair. I'll give you the time it takes for one incense stick to burn. Contact Bai Xiaochun and tell him to come down here. If he doesn't appear after one incense stick, I will pull down the land-conferring flag of this place. Li Yuansheng said coldly, waving his hand. A sea of fire swept through, engulfing the hotel. In the middle of the hotel, a small flag was revealed, the flag Bai Xiaochun had used to establish the land-conferring territory. Su Baozi looked at the surrounding ruins, at the groaning cultivators of the Green Dragon Society, knowing that the other party had done this only to summon Bai Xiaochun. But he had no other choice. This matter absolutely had to be reported to Bai Xiaochun. Therefore, he immediately took out a jade slip and transmitted a message to Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun was sitting, using the elixirs given to him by Feng Yude. The attitude of the Void Domain's sect leader, and then Feng Yude, is problematic. Should we find a way to investigate? Bai Xiaochun stroked his chin, still thinking, when he suddenly pulled out a jade slip, scanned it with his spiritual sense, and heard Su Baozi's crying. Young ancestor, save me. Young ancestor, Li Yuansheng is here again, burning down our inn, seriously injuring many of our Green Dragon Society brothers. Li Yuansheng told me that if you don't come within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he will take down the flag. Young ancestor, what should we do now? Su Baozi cried and complained, making Bai Xiaochun furious. Want to tear down the flag? That's my private property. And you dare to burn down my hotel, Li Yuansheng. Li Yuansheng, you secretly tried to harm me before, and I haven't settled that yet. And now you dare to come and bully me. Bai Zikun was furious, standing up abruptly. Want to take me down? It's inconvenient to fight me in the rainbow void, right? Fine, that's exactly what I was thinking. Bai Zikun pulled out the demon subduing hall's token, put it on, and flew out. I'm going down in the demon subduing hall's identity. If Li Yuansheng dares to attack me, it's disrespectful to the demon subduing hall. Bai Zikun rushed to the teleportation array. Before leaving, he sent a message to Feng Yude, then hurried to the Void City, to the hotel. From afar, he saw cultivators gathered, black smoke billowing up, and flames flickering. Li Yuansheng stood in the middle of the ruins, right in front of the land-sealing flag. Li Yuansheng, you dared to take my banner! Bai Zikun shouted. Before he even arrived, a chilling aura enveloped the surroundings, extinguishing the raging flames. Li Yuansheng looked up, sneered at Bai Zikun, and pointed at him. The void around Bai Zikun twisted, and four figures emerged from the void. Bai Zikun stopped abruptly. These four were all young men, all at the mid-stage of the core formation realm. Their faces were cold and filled with killing intent, clearly indicating they had experienced bloodshed, and they wore green robes. The four flame disciples. The Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking, all ranked in the top 300. The four flame disciples. Bai Zikun frowned. These four green robe disciples all possessed considerable power. Two of them had a stronger aura than the two core formation elders protecting Zhuo Hangfeng. Li Yuansheng smiled, bowed to the four, and then looked at Bai Zikun. Bai Xiaochun, after today, this hotel will be no more, and I Li will definitely tear down this land-claiming flag. Li Yuansheng laughed loudly. He had invited the four flame sons, his confidence soaring. All four of them were at the mid-stage of the Golden Core realm, just like Bai Zikun. In his opinion, that was enough to crush Bai Zikun. Not only will I knock you out, but I'll also let you know that there are some people you can't afford to offend. Li Yuansheng laughed, waving his hand, and the sea of fire flared up again, turning the surroundings into barren land. Attack! Li Yuansheng shouted. The four flame sons, with contempt in their eyes, took a step forward, earth fire erupting around them. From afar, they looked like four figures of fire, their powerful pressure bearing down on Bai Zikun. They didn't intend to kill Bai Zikun, but to severely injure him. Bai Zikun performed a hand seal, unleashing the cold gate cultivation technique. A chilling aura emanated from him as he retreated several steps, roaring loudly. You're being excessively arrogant. You ganged up on me alone, and you even tried to take down my banner and destroy my family's legacy. It's no different than trying to take my life. Hell Master, come quickly, someone wants to kill me. Bai Xiaochun shouted with all his might. Before the four flame sons and Li Yuansheng could react, the sky changed, as if an boundless force was pressing down from above. In midair, an old man appeared, his face grim, his eyes cold, and his aura incredibly powerful. The hall master of the demon subduing hall, Feng Yude. Who dares to take Bai Xiaochun's life? His voice boomed, shaking the earth and sky. The old man's voice contained the power of a nascent soul cultivator, causing the four flame fire disciples to change color and tremble. As masters on the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking, they wouldn't even bother with ordinary nascent soul cultivators. But Feng Yude was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. His cultivation alone was enough to shock them. Not to mention his identity as the sect leader of the four rainbow domains, a sect leader among the top 10 nascent soul cultivators. Furthermore, he was the sect leader of the demon subduing sect, one of the most ferocious and untouchable. Seeing the other party approaching with anger, the four flame fire disciples immediately trembled. If they were like this, there's no need to mention Li Yuansheng. Although he was a member of the celestial human clan, with the strength of his clan, he naturally didn't need to fear a nascent soul sect leader. But that was the strength of his clan, not his personal power. Even so, the clan members didn't dare offend a sect master, especially one capable of achieving the heavenly human realm. Li Yuansheng knew this well, so he became even more fearful, suddenly remembering Yun Daozi's words. How could this be? What is Bai Zikun's true background? Li Yuansheng regretted it, especially when he saw the four flame fire disciples trembling as they left, giving him a venomous glare before they left. Bai Zikun was startled. He had only sent a message to gauge Feng Yude's intentions, so seeing him appear surprised him. This wasn't within the sect, But outside the sect, yet people were still paying attention to him. It was truly beyond imagination. Senior Feng Jr. Li Yuansheng clasped his hands, about to speak, when Bai Zikun pointed at the four flame fire disciples and spoke to Feng Yude. Sect Master, they want my life, and that guy wants to force me to withdraw the land-granting banner. As long as the banner remains, the person remains. If the banner is lost, the person dies too. That's not it. Senior Feng, please listen to me, Li Yuansheng hurriedly explained. And the four flame sons also wanted to explain. Feng Yude was very troubled. When he received Bai Zikun's telepathic message, he hesitated, feeling that his status was not suitable for a protector. But thinking of the promise the Lord had made to him, he gritted his teeth and changed his mind. Seeing the four flame sons attack, he also decided that to prevent such incidents from happening again, this time he must use all his strength to suppress them. He coldly snorted, interrupting Li Yuansheng's words, and with a flick of his sleeve, a powerful force descended from above, causing the four flame sons to spit out fresh blood and be pushed back several hundred feet. Go back to your cultivation. Don't get involved in this kind of thing anymore, Feng Yude said coldly. Seeing this, Bai Xiaochun chimed in. That's right, go back and focus on your cultivation. Don't get involved in this kind of thing. The four men's faces turned pale. They barely managed to stand, not daring to reply. Each of them bowed and left, their eyes filled with resentment as they glared at Li Yuansheng. Li Yuansheng trembled, instinctively recoiling. Feng Yude looked at him coldly, flicking his sleeve again. A gust of wind swept through, and Li Yuansheng screamed, spitting out blood, and was sent flying. I don't care what conflict you have with Bai Xiaochun, but from today onwards, if you remain stubborn and refuse to change, don't blame me for ordering you to be sent to the demon-subduing hall for some tempering. Feng Yude spoke very slowly, each word reaching Li Yuansheng's ears, making him tremble like a leaf. He was terrified. He didn't want to go to the demon-subduing hall at all. He quickly clasped his hands together and hurried away, determined not to provoke Bai Xiaochun again. That's right, if Li Yuansheng dares to provoke me again, then you can come to the demon-subduing hall with me, Bai Xiaochun said excitedly, showing off his prowess. Seeing Li Yuansheng about to leave, he suddenly remembered something and shouted loudly, Wait! You destroyed my inn. You have to compensate. Li Yuansheng gritted his teeth, threw down a bag, and quickly ran away. Seeing that everything was settled, Bai Xiaochun happily clasped his hands in thanks to Feng Yude. Thank you, Hall Master. Feng Yude looked at Bai Xiaochun helplessly, coughed, offered a few words of encouragement, and then turned to leave. He didn't want to stay there any longer. He disliked the feeling of being summoned. As Feng Yude left, Su Beokai and the other cultivators of the Green Dragon Society looked at Bai Xiaochun with reverence, as if he were a god. They never expected the crisis of the day to be resolved so easily, especially since Bai Xiaochun had summoned a nascent soul cultivator with just a wave of his hand. This scene not only shocked them, but also stunned the surrounding cultivators. Bai Xiaochun walked over proudly, patting his chest and boasting, attracting countless enthusiastic gazes. Then he took a considerable amount of contribution points and swaggered back to the Rainbow Void Domain, to his cave dwelling. They really paid attention to me. Just one call and they came immediately, looking completely unwilling. The Void Domain Sect Master last time was the same, looking very reluctant and forced. It seems someone ordered them to do this. Who could it be? Bai Xiaochun pondered. A month quickly passed, and Li Yuansheng remained completely silent, no longer bothering Bai Zikun, nor was Bai Zikun assigned any missions by the demon-subduing hall. Moreover, every time he entered the demon-subduing hall, he could freely take anything he liked, except for a few rare and precious items, because those items, besides contribution points, also required a certain ranking on the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking. Bai Xiaochun didn't pay much attention to this. As time passed, his cultivation gradually increased. The human refining mountain technique required ascending to the second level of the rainbow, and to get there, one needed a token. Bai Xiaochun had bought these tokens in the demon-subduing hall. Even though they were very expensive, he bought several at once. On the second level, the left side was the residence of the celestial beings, and the right side was the residence of the sect master and also the training area. This place had a name, the Myriad Star Rainbow. Within the Myriad Star Rainbow, there were many different training and cultivation areas, depending on the type of cultivation technique. As long as a disciple had a token, they could enter. This place is called the Myriad Stars Rainbow because it houses something famous throughout the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect and the Eastern cultivation world. The Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking? The Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking is enormous, occupying 3/10 of the entire Myriad Stars Rainbow filled with dazzling stars. These stars are distributed according to color. Of the 7 colors, red is the most numerous, countless in number, followed by orange, numbering in the tens of thousands, yellow in the thousands, green in the thousands, but only about 400 or 500, blue in the hundreds, and purple at the top, is the least numerous, with only 8 stars. However, these stars only represent those who are qualified to be on the ranking, not counting those cultivators who are not qualified. Therefore, the higher a person is ranked on the ranking, the more attention they attract. To make those whose names appeared on the list even more illustrious, the sect even set up a formation that allowed disciples to automatically recall the name of the corresponding prodigy simply by looking at a star on the list. This method made the disciples of the sect extremely obsessed with having their names listed on the Starry Sky Dao ranking, and those who appeared on the list had to be below the nascent soul stage. Bai Xiaochun arrived at the teleportation array, queuing to be teleported away. While waiting, he looked up at the rainbow in the distance, gazing at the densely packed stars in the Starry Sky Dao ranking area, gaining a little more understanding of the Starry Sky Dao ranking. He knew that anyone qualified to be a star there was a top-tier prodigy, enjoying abundant resources and privileges, and possibly possessing limited edition crafting items that could only be exchanged for after achieving a certain ranking. This kind of trial is so dangerous. I don't understand why so many people keep rushing into it, Bai Xiaochun snorted. He had also heard that the Starry Sky Dao ranking had 7 levels of trials, each filled with danger, and every year disciples died there. Yet, people kept insisting on rushing in, and the process was endless. Actually, this was related to the sect's rewards for successfully challenging the trial. Not only were there resources and support, but also certain privileges. Bai Xiaochun looked at the 8 purple stars high above, admired by everyone, and felt a sense of resentment. Looking at the first purple star, the one ranked first, a name flashed through his mind. Zhao Tianzhou. Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened, startled by the name. He had never seen anyone with such a majestic name before. Not as good as my name. Bai Xiaochun looked at the second star. Left Dao, what kind of name is that? It sounds so unorthodox. Bai Xiaochun couldn't help but glance at the third star. Chen Yue-san. Bai Xiaochun recognized her as a female cultivator and was about to continue observing when it was his turn to enter the teleportation array. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the Myriad Star Rainbow. Bai Xiaochun had prepared a map, immediately opened it, and flew in. It's so bustling. Bai Xiaochun was a little surprised. This place was much more crowded and noisy than the Rainbow Void. Bai Xiaochun even saw several stalls set up by disciples to sell items, and there were many people coming and going. In each cultivation area, there were quite a few people queuing up. Some places even had hundreds of people waiting. Bai Xiaochun flew straight to the place where he could cultivate the human mountain technique. This place was a mountain valley, overgrown with weeds, looking very desolate. At the entrance stood a large, oddly colored rock, on which sat a middle-aged man with his legs crossed. He looked very ugly, with dark skin. From a distance, he resembled a monkey dressed in human clothes. As Bai Xiaochun got closer, he became increasingly astonished. He clearly sensed that the other party was at the core formation stage, but he couldn't discern its depth. He had a strong feeling that this man was very powerful, capable of fighting even a nascent soul cultivator. Even just the person guarding this entrance is so powerful. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath. This place was very deserted, with not a single person queuing. At first, Bai Xiaochun thought he had come to the wrong place, but after carefully examining the map several times, he was certain this was indeed the place to cultivate the human mountain technique. Falling Flowers Valley is on the right, Kingya Peak is on the left, Bishu Pond is behind, and Yuan Stone is in front. While Bai Xiaochun was still hesitating, the man on the rock opened his eyes and spoke coldly, his voice sharp and piercing. Senior brother, I want to go to Wanchen Valley, Bai Xiaochun quickly said. The middle-aged man was startled, carefully looking at Bai Xiaochun. You cultivate the human mountain technique. Bai Xiaochun nodded. The man's lips curled slightly, his gaze softening. He made a hand gesture, pointing into the valley, and a stone door, more than 10 meters in diameter, rose from the ground. It's been a long time since I've seen anyone cultivate the human mountain technique, the man said. The human mountain technique isn't a cultivation method, but a divine ability. Its characteristic feature is that a person transforms into a mountain person, a stone figure, possessing the strength of a mountain. It's divided into 4 levels: human mountain, earth mountain, heaven mountain, and immortal mountain. The important point in cultivation is integration. Each mountain has a spirit. In this valley, there are many mountains. Just choose one that you are destined to merge with and comprehend its spirit. If successful, you can unleash the power of the human mountain. The middle-aged man's guidance deeply moved by Xiaochun. Many parts of the human mountain technique he hadn't understood before were now clear. He immediately clasped his hands together and bowed in gratitude. Thank you for your guidance, senior brother. May I know your real name? Could you tell me? You can call me Shaishan. The middle-aged man smiled, said nothing more, and closed his eyes. Bai Xiaochun passed through the stone door, and both the door and Bai Xiaochun disappeared, the scene returning to its desolate state. Bai Xiaochun felt dizzy, then regained consciousness, finding himself in a strange world. Above him was a blue sky, but below was an endless sea of clouds, mountains rising and falling in all directions. One mountain so high, so very high, he couldn't see its peak. 10,000 Mountains Valley. Bai Xiaochun looked around, beginning to search for a mountain that seemed destined for him. Destined for what? Bai Xiaochun didn't quite understand this, muttering to himself. Could it be that it's pleasing to the eye? Bai Xiaochun flew up, glancing over the mountains. Look around and see if there's a peak that catches your eye. In the rainbow void, Song Qiu, who had been sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes, his gaze blazing intensely. Finally, it's time to form a golden core. Song Qiu arranged a formation around himself, informed his subordinates, then took a pill to aid in the formation process, sat down, and attempted to break through. Half a month later, Chen Manya also attempted to break through to the golden core realm. More than 20 days after that, Shen Swansea also attempted to break through to the golden core realm. Besides Zhang Dapin and Su Beokai, who were still in the Void City, the remaining protectors of Bai Xiaochun all began to form golden cores. Although Zhang Dapin lagged behind the other 3, his cultivation was already superior to theirs. While in the Void City, Bai Xiaochun had invested a lot of contribution points into him, allowing his cultivation to reach the great perfection of the foundation establishment stage. Forming a golden core was within his reach. In the 10,000 Mountains Valley, Bai Xiaochun relentlessly searched for the mountain destined for him. Which one is destined for me? Bai Xiaochun was racking his brain. In this sea of clouds, he looked at every mountain, big and small, but couldn't find one that suited him. Bai Xiaochun began to grow impatient, flying aimlessly for an unknown amount of time. He was truly at a loss, and was about to randomly choose a mountain to merge with when he was startled. In the distance, he saw a very special mountain. It was more like a stone statue than a mountain. The statue looked like a giant stone figure, seemingly dead in battle, one leg kneeling on the ground, the right hand raised as if reaching for the sky. Its expression was indistinct, but its eyes held an aura that intimidated the mind, making Bai Xiaochun unable to look away. He felt as if he could hear earth-shattering roars, as if he could see the stone figure wanting to tear apart the sky. It looks like the blood ancestor. The closer Bai Xiaochun got, the more he felt a powerful pressure emanating from the stone statue, making it difficult for him to breathe. His eyes lit up. Could it be, this is the mountain I'm destined to be connected to? Because I've seen it, felt its pressure. Doesn't that prove we're destined to be together? Bai Xiaochun was excited and was about to rush forward when the little turtle suddenly poked its head out, disdainfully. Destined to be together, that statue is right in the middle of this place. Anyone who comes here can see it. And its pressure. Any living being can feel it. Little Bai, stop being so self-centered. Shut up. Bai Xiaochun was annoyed. Ignoring the little turtle, he flew straight to stand on the statue's hand. The more he looked, the more the statue resembled the blood ancestor. So he decided to sit down. This statue has a connection with me. It must be so. Bai Xiaochun closed his eyes, determined to merge with the statue to complete his cultivation of the human mountain technique. A day later, Bai Xiaochun opened his eyes, his expression troubled. He found that he had tried to merge for a day, but the mountain statue showed no reaction whatsoever. The mountain has a spirit. Bai Xiaochun scratched his head, closed his eyes again, and this time managed to hold on for 3 days. Then he opened his eyes, his expression even more troubled. Does it really have a spirit? Why can't I feel it? Bai Xiaochun pondered, trying again. Time passed, and Bai Xiaochun didn't know how many times he had tried. The statue, initially completely unresponsive, finally showed a faint change, like ripples in Bai Xiaochun's mind. But that wasn't enough. Bai Xiaochun gritted his teeth and continued. 2 months later, in the Rainbow Void, where Songqiu was in seclusion, a surge of golden core aura emanated, spreading outwards, causing swirling mists and astonishing many. A long shout came from within the cave, and Songqiu instantly appeared in midair, his eyes shining brightly, light flowing around him, radiating the pressure of a golden core. Within his body, all 8 layers of the spiritual sea had crystallized, merging to form a single earth core. An earth core formed from 8 layers of the spiritual sea was enough for him to instantly enter the ranks of powerful cultivators upon achieving the golden core. I've waited for this day for so long, and finally, I've achieved the golden core. Songqiu laughed loudly, his excitement overflowing. Bai Xiaochun, I will definitely surpass you soon. Songqiu rushed back into the cave to consolidate his cultivation. Not long after Songqiu successfully formed his golden core, Chen Manya and Shen Xuanzi also successfully formed their golden cores. This would certainly have caused a huge sensation in the Reverse River sect, but not in the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. Here, forming a golden core is very common. The Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect has many disciples and a vast sphere of influence. It can be said that the entire eastern branch of the cultivation world is under the control of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. Therefore, this is a place where powerful individuals gather, and forming a golden core is normal. Only reaching the nascent soul stage is respected, as the nascent soul stage is the true overlord of a region. In the 10,000 Mountains Valley, why is it taking so long? Another half-month passed, and Bai Xiaochun felt like dying. He still couldn't merge with the statue, only managing to faintly sense a little of its spirit. At this rate, it'll probably take 100 years to comprehend it. Bai Xiaochun was exasperated. Since arriving at the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect, he had investigated over 300 secret techniques of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect, with the human mountain technique ranking among the top 10, but few had ever successfully cultivated it. I'm not practicing anymore. It's too difficult. Bai Xiaochun stood up irritably, looking at the statue at his feet, and snorted. Even if I can't learn the human mountain technique, it doesn't matter. I have the Water Marsh Kingdom, and I still have the power of attraction and repulsion. Bai Xiaochun was unconvinced. He had studied it for a long time, and after each cultivation session, he would condense these attraction and repulsion spheres. Today, he was only a short distance from achieving complete control. Bai Xiaochun stepped out, looked at the statue a few more times, then sighed and left. Stepping outside, he met the middle-aged man again, still sitting motionless on the rock as he had been months ago, his posture unchanged. When cultivating the human mountain technique, no one succeeds on the first try, but if you succeed within 10 attempts, you are considered to have the potential. The middle-aged man opened his eyes and said to Bai Xiaochun, "Man and mountain are in harmony. One must forget oneself, then forget the mountain, and then, upon awakening, you are the mountain, and the mountain is you." Bai Xiaochun paused, pondered for a moment, then nodded, bowed, and returned to his cave dwelling to continue his thoughts. After a while, he looked into the distance. "Oh, you formed a golden core." Soon, a rainbow appeared from afar, and a girl with exquisite features, wearing a golden robe, gracefully and elegantly, emerged. "Senior Brother Bai." Chen Manya stood outside the cave dwelling, smiling softly in greeting. The door opened and Bai Xiaochun walked out, circling Chen Manya once, making her blush. "Senior Brother Bai, what are you doing? It's been months since we last met. Congratulations on your golden core, madam." Bai Xiaochun joked. The title madam was something Chen Manya had used back in the Void City to gain contribution points by relying on Bai Xiaochun. Now, hearing him call her that, she blushed and moved closer. "Senior Brother Bai, if you agree to one thing, you can have whatever you want." Chen Manyao breathed hot air into Bai Xiaochun's ear. What is it? Bai Xiaochun coughed, his gaze sweeping over Chen Manyao's curves. It's very simple. You just need to join us. No more discussion. Before Chen Manyao could finish, Bai Xiaochun shook his head. Back in the Void City, Chen Manyao had hinted at this several times, but Bai Xiaochun had always refused. The Tongshan River sect is a legitimate sect, while the Barbarian Wilderness is a bandit sect. I, Bai Xiaochun, come from a prestigious family with a background so vast that even I don't know it all. How could I join a bandit sect? Joining a bandit sect would be playing with my life. Perhaps one day in the future, you'll find it interesting. Chen Manyao smiled, changing the subject. That's right, senior brother Bai. I came here this time to tell you a clue about Du Lingfei. Bai Xiaochun suddenly looked up at Chen Manyao. Chen Manyao smiled, noticing Bai Xiaochun's interest in this news. According to my investigation, although I haven't found Du Lingfei's exact whereabouts yet, I can confirm one thing. Your Du Lingfei is right here in the Starry Sky Dao Extreme Sect. Bai Xiaochun remained silent, blinking. I will definitely fulfill the promise I made to you. I am still continuously investigating, and if there is any more news, I will inform you immediately. But I think Du Lingfei probably already knows you've come here. Chen Manyao turned and walked away. Bai Xiaochun stood outside the cave for a long time, gazing at the setting sun, the sky bathed in the colors of twilight, many images flashing through his mind. After a long while, Bai Xiaochun turned around, went back into his cave dwelling, closed his eyes, and sat down. He was no longer as obsessed with finding Du Lingfei as before. Forget yourself, forget the mountain, and then when you awaken. I am the mountain, and the mountain is me. The key lies in the word forget, but this word is easy to say and difficult to do. How do I forget? Enter meditation. Are you kidding? It's not like I can just enter meditation and immediately do it. How can I say forget and immediately forget? Bai Xiaochun muttered, a strange look appearing in his eyes. Say forget and immediately forget. Bai Xiaochun licked his lips, his eyes brightening. He remembered the illusionary wisdom pill. Swallowing it would indeed cause hallucinations, even making one forget themselves. That's it. Bai Xiaochun slapped his thigh, excitedly stood up, and pulled out an illusionary wisdom pill. No, this is for myself. I have to be careful. I need to adjust the formula a little to suit me. Bai Xiaochun immediately ran to the exchange counter of the demon-subduing hall. The people there smiled and respectfully bowed upon seeing him. Bai Xiaochun had become a regular customer, always bringing in many items, many of which were on credit. This kind of thing had never happened before at the demon-subduing hall, making a strong impression on the person in charge. The fact that the entire demon-subduing hall had mobilized just for Bai Xiaochun had brought him great fame. I have to create a pill that's perfectly suited to me, without any hidden dangers. One that I can forget when I want to forget and wake up when I want to. The more Bai Xiaochun thought about it, the more reasonable it seemed. Bai Xiaochun suddenly saw a flowerless plant with 7 leaves, each a different color. 7-colored misty seagrass. Bai Xiaochun's eyes lit up. 7-colored misty seagrass. It had been described in the spiritual scrolls of the Lingxi sect years ago as a type of spiritual herb capable of producing enchantments, highly effective in refining various illusionary elixirs without harming the body. I want this herb. Bai Xiaochun excitedly pointed at the 7-colored misty seagrass, but the person in charge smiled wryly. Brother Bai, to buy this herb, you must be ranked among the top 1,000 on the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking. Huh? Bai Xiaochun was stunned, then flew straight to the main hall of the demon-subduing hall. Hall Master, Bai Xiaochun requests an audience. Before even entering the hall, Bai Xiaochun shouted. Feng Yud, sitting inside, reluctantly opened his eyes, watching Bai Xiaochun rush in. Zikun, what's wrong? Feng Yud forced a smile. Recently, Bai Zikun had been in Wenshan Valley, and he'd been incredibly relaxed. Whenever Bai Zikun was in the hall, he'd constantly bother him with all sorts of big and small matters, making him quite helpless. Hall Master, I want 7-colored Miss Seagrass. Do you have any? Could you give me 10 stalks? Bai Zikun asked expectantly. Feng Yud took out a jade slip and frowned. Although 7-colored Miss Seagrass wasn't particularly precious, it was rare. There were only 3 stalks in the demon-subduing hall currently, because it was a type of enchantment that required a certain level of cultivation to use. so exchanges were very restricted within the sect. Why don't you just storm the Starry Sky Dao ranking or find one of the top 1,000 disciples to buy it for you? Feng Yude sighed. Why did he feel like he was protecting this kid so much? Yan Daozi, you handle it for him. Feng Yude was troubled, and Yan Daozi, who was guarding outside the door, immediately went in. Bai Xiaochun was very moved. He had sought out Feng Yude with the intention of having him help him find someone from the top 1,000 rank to buy something for him, so he excitedly dragged Yan Daozi away. By junior brother, there are more than 10 people in the top 1,000 ranked in the Demon Subduing Hall, but you know, they are all prodigies, each with their own pride and arrogance. Even if they agree to help, they will want something in return, Yan Daozi said. He wasn't lying to Bai Xiaochun. As an elder of the Demon Subduing Hall, he didn't want to offend Bai Xiaochun, nor did he want to offend those high-ranking prodigies. It's all right. Bai Xiaochun waved his hand. He had plenty of contribution points. This is Junior Brother Zhou's cave dwelling. Junior Brother Zhou is not even 100 years old, yet he's already in the late stage of the Golden Core realm. He's ranked 777th on the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking. Yan Daozi introduced. Junior Brother Zhou is a prodigy of the sect, very famous in the Demon Subduing Hall. When you meet him later, remember to be polite and don't offend him, Yan Daozi instructed. Bai Xiaochun, thinking he had a favor to ask, nodded. The two approached, but were stopped by 3 guards. These 3 were all powerful cultivators, but thanks to Yan Daozi, they let them through. However, upon reaching the main gate, no matter what Yan Daozi said, there was no response from inside. Junior Brother Zhou is probably not here. Yan Daozi stammered, looking at Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun frowned, his third eyebrow slightly twitching, revealing a young man inside the cave dwelling being attended to by several maidens. The man's eyes were full of contempt, completely ignoring Bai Xiaochun and Yan Daozi outside. Junior Brother Bai, rest assured, let's go to Junior Brother Chen's place. I have some acquaintance with Junior Brother Chen. This matter can definitely be handled, Yan Daozi said. Bai Xiaochun nodded and followed. This time, Yan Daozi wasn't wrong. He and Junior Brother Chen did indeed have some acquaintance. Junior Brother Chen did open the door wide and let the two in, but after hearing their story, he casually said to Bai Xiaochun, we'll discuss this after I finish my seclusion. Thank you, Senior Brother Chen. I wonder how long it will take you. Bai Xiaochun hastily asked. 2 years at the fastest, 5 years at the slowest. After saying this, the cultivator surnamed Chen waved his hand to see them off. Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened. If it weren't for Yan Daozi pulling his arm, he would have yelled at the man surnamed Shen. Boom! The door slammed shut, and the icy voice of the cultivator surnamed Shen echoed from within. If you can't wait, then barge in yourself. It's just 1,000 stars. What's so special about it? If you don't agree, then so be it. What kind of look are you giving me? Are you looking down on me? Bai Xiaochun retorted angrily. By Junior Brother, calm down. This Datsai, those with these rankings are all prodigies. We can't argue with them, because they are seeds highly valued by the sect. I heard that Sima Pharaoh even arrogantly occupied an entire cultivation area, not allowing anyone to pass through, causing quite a commotion, but in the end, no one could do anything about it. Yan Daozi shook his head and advised. Bai Xiaochun had also heard of Sima Pharaoh, knowing that she was ranked over 90, not a cultivator from the Demon Subduing Hall, but from the Sect Hall, and usually very arrogant. Yan Daozi continued to lead him to the 3rd, 4th. More than 10 people, the vast majority were in seclusion, a few were out, and the rest were either indifferent or outright refused, their methods differing. But all revealed an inherent arrogance that greatly provoked Bai Xiaochun. They're all as arrogant as spirit-tailed chickens. As darkness fell, the outcome of such a small matter filled Bai Xiaochun with anger and humiliation, making him feel an urge to storm the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking. Junior Brother Bai, there's one more person. This one is always easy to talk to. He'll definitely succeed. Don't get angry. These people are like that. From over 100,000 to the top 1,000, everyone has to go through life-threatening situations. It's normal for them to be arrogant. Yan Daozi smiled wryly. All day today, he had to constantly advise him. Although he was a little awkward, he mostly felt contempt for Bai Xiaochun, secretly thinking that Bai Xiaochun was just relying on Feng Yude. If he really had the ability, he would have charged in himself. Why would he need to beg others? Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath and followed Yan Daozi to the last cave. This person was indeed easy to talk to, and after listening, he smiled. We've done this before, just buying things on behalf of others. How about this, junior brother Bai? I've heard your name for a long time. Give me 1 million contribution points, and I'll do it for you immediately. Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened. He wasn't without 1 million contribution points, but he only needed to buy a single herb, which only cost 100,000 points, yet the other party was demanding 1 million. What? Think it's too expensive? Don't agree. Fine, if you have the ability, then go ahead and enter the Starry Sky Dao ranking yourself. If you get into the top 1,000, you won't need to come looking for me anymore. The cultivator laughed at Bai Xiaochun's expression, a contemptuous smile, as if saying, I knew it all along. Bai Xiaochun looked at the man, said nothing, and turned to leave. Yan Daozi followed, sighing, worried that Bai Xiaochun would vent his anger on him. He was about to try and dissuade him when Bai Xiaochun stopped. Brother Yan Daozi, thank you for today. Brother Bai, this matter is actually quite simple. Why don't you go find the sect master again and have him issue a decree? Even if these people don't want to, they'll still have to obey. Yan Daozi hesitated before saying, no need. Bai Xiaochun shook his head. He also noticed the contempt hidden in Yan Daozi's gaze today. Although he didn't throw stones into the well, he clearly gloated. Then you. It's just 1,000 stars. I, Bai Xiaochun, will charge in myself. Bai Xiaochun flicked his sleeve and flew away. Yan Daozi watched him go, a slight smile on his face. If he really had the ability, why would he need to beg others? In a few days, he'll come back to the sect master to cry and complain. Bai Xiaochun returned to his cave dwelling, sending a message to the divine calculators to investigate the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking. Even going to the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking itself to examine it. A month and a half later. It's just 1,000 stars. What's so special about it? I'll also take a top 1,000 ranking and bring it back. Bai Xiaochun flew to the Myriad Star Rainbow Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking. The entrance to the Starry Sky Dao Extreme ranking was an ancient, massive gate, thousands of feet high, covered with intricate runes that emitted a strange light and awe-inspiring aura. The gate was dark blue, flanked by two colossal statues of ferocious beasts resembling lions. A gap several feet wide opened in the gate, allowing cultivators to easily pass through. As Bai Xiaochun arrived, a figure was flying in on a cloud, dressed in a green robe, possessing an extraordinary demeanor and handsome appearance. The surrounding cultivators murmured, It's Zhao Yidong from the Rainbow Star Domain, Senior Brother Zhao. This time, Senior Brother Zhao will definitely enter the top 1,000. I think so too. Senior Brother Zhao is a prodigy from the Patrol Sea Hall. He entered the top 5,000 the first time, 3,000 the second, and the top 1,500 the third. This fourth time, he'll definitely enter the top 1,000. Bai Xiaochun flew through the gate. Because of Zhao Yidong's presence, no one paid any attention to him. In the Starry Sky Dao ranking, whoever ranks in the top 1,000 is considered the darling of the sect, the prodigy of each lineage. If they enter the top 500, they are no longer just a prodigy of one lineage, but a prodigy of an entire region. Anyone in the top 100 will be considered a giant of the sect. I can do it too. Bai Xiaochun gritted his teeth, his will surging, just like when he was still a jet condensation cultivator and first saw the herb tablet. As soon as he flew through the gate, his vision blurred. A powerful force pulled him to a completely different world. Boom! Bai Xiaochun trembled, his face turning pale. This powerful teleportation far surpassed all his previous teleportations. If his cultivation wasn't strong, he would have surely fallen to the ground. Indeed, those who enter here for the first time to challenge the rankings all feel the same way. If they can't withstand it and fall to the ground, they will be immediately teleported back out. A blast of hot air hit his face, causing Bai Xiaochun to recoil in shock. Looking around, he found himself standing on a crimson cliff. Below the cliff and stretching out before him was a vast sea of fire, its end in sight. Everywhere was a sea of red flames, molten rocks surging and constantly exploding, sending up waves of intense heat. Ferocious beasts continuously swooped down from the cliff, trying to escape the sea of fire. but they were all incinerated and swallowed whole.